what we do here is go back.
Okay, so I think we are live. Hopefully. Looks like we might be. Oops, left the box in the way. Good evening everyone, Mike here, Mike's Unboxing Reviews Now 2. It is Saturday the 12th of October 2024. It is currently 8:24. Sorry, late as per usual. I just went to start the stream and still trying not to choke now. And I tried to, I don't know, swallow, breathe and talk at the same time, and it didn't work out entirely as planned. So I had a little bit of a choking fit. So yeah, fingers crossed it will be okay for the rest of the evening. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sound and audio is 100%. Excellent stuff. Fantastic. Yes, I am live and alive, which is useful. Very handy. Let's make sure that everything is working. So that is the normal view. Some of you may have noticed, new table. This actually, look at this. It's in absolutely pristine condition. It won't stay that long. Well, it won't stay like that for very long, but anyway, there we go. And I actually got a slightly bigger table. So the last ones were 120 millimeters. This is 140 millimeters. So I've got a whopping 20 centimeters to play with, which gives me a little bit more room on the desk, which is nice. So if the angle looks a little bit different, that's probably why. It probably looks a little bit wider because the camera is a little bit further away now, but not much. Anyway, it's nice to have a new table. It's been, yeah, it's been a long time. How long was it? When would you buy? The previous tables we had, we bought pretty sure during the COVID lockdown. So we're looking at least kind of May 2020, maybe June 2020. I think that's when we replaced them last. So it lasted 4 years, which, considering these tables are like 25 quid, it's not too bad. It's a reasonable investment. Like,
but they were a bit ropey by the end.
£10. No, was it £10 a month? About £5 a month for a table. It's not bad.
It's more than that. Less than that.
Oh, no, it's much less than. There's £1 a month.
If even that.
Rough, yeah. Anyway, regardless, I got new tables. Woo! And they're not wrecked. Excellent. So yeah, that is excellent. Skystalker's hat. Knew it was bigger. Yeah, it is definitely a little bit bigger. Yeah, it's a little bit neater, a little bit tidier. Yeah, it doesn't look quite so ravaged. It's mostly down to motherboards. Motherboards are the problematic thing. I do a review, I put a motherboard down, and the pins on the back of the motherboard, like those sharp little buggers, aren't they? Because they hurt your fingers. And of course, when I'm pressing onto the desk, it just pierces holes in the top of the desk. And eventually, when you clean the desk, you got water on it, or moisture, and it gets sucked into the MDF stuff and swells up and it looks shit. So, anyway, there you go. Oh, Rick H, $10 super chat for a dear friend that passed away last Thursday. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Now, unfortunately, I cannot put the your messages up on the screen anymore. I just had a notification come in from Google saying that the extension that I like to use, no, actually, it says it does have access, so maybe they do.
It is on there, isn't it?
Oh no, it's working. Just now it said it wasn't working, and it was greyed out. What the actual flip is going on? So it does work. So again, yes, I'm very sad to hear that. It's never a good time when somebody passes away. But if you think about it as it's them, the cycle of life, and they are onto bigger and better things, we hope. And potentially if they were suffering from any form of illness or something, then they are hopefully no longer in pain or suffering. So there are some positives to come out of a negative. That was very pragmatic, wasn't it? Very grown up and mature. Anyway, there you go. Mark Berry, well, this week, to start off with, this week has been an absolute nightmare. I've had the last 3 weeks, I would say, have been an absolute disaster from start to finish. So we've had a new wood burner installed in the front. That was kind of slightly problematic. We had our kitchen ceiling replastered. That's still an ongoing issue. I've had upstairs plaster as well. I did my back in, as most of you would know, so that's left me out of the game. It's only the last couple of days which I've been a little bit more mobile, and it's less painful. So I'm actually starting to be able to focus on things a little bit now, which is great. So we are getting there. But yeah, all these things have happened. We had our MOT for the car this week. Some of you may have seen the video on Friday, how to change light bulbs. That was in preparation for the MOT, which I hoped it would pass. It generally does, a few little bits and pieces, but this time it was a big failure because airbag lights are on. And if you know anything about cars, whenever you get anything to do with the safety systems, like the ABS, any of the braking stuff, seat belts, airbags, safety retention systems, all that kind of stuff, as soon as you get anything like that go wrong with your car, generally it's expensive and a hassle. Now we're hoping with our car, it's a very common thing with BMWs, especially the model we've got, that there's like a seat occupancy sensor in the passenger side. And it harks back to the days years ago when you'd have car baby seats. And they used to have car baby seats which you'd kind of put in the seat and you'd put a seat belt around it. Modern ones I think are all...
Facing, rear facing.
Yeah, rear facing seats. Modern ones I think are what they call ISOFIT, so they kind of clip into the seat belt mechanism itself. So it's a different setup altogether. But years ago you used to have baby seats which are basically a lump of plastic, you'd stick it in, whack a seat belt around it, and the baby would be facing towards the back of the car. If an airbag went off in the passenger side, obviously it would hit the child's seat and the child would go fly in. So the idea was BMW put a little pad in the seat which measures basically the weight. So if the seat belt is on or latched and there isn't much weight detected in the seat, it won't set off the airbag in the event of a collision, just in case there was a baby there, obviously because of a certain weight. If you're a larger person like myself, it registers as you as a human being. You put your seatbelt in and the airbag would deploy as it would normally. The problem is with those seat sensors is they're just basically thin strands of metal, and over time they get fragile. And normally most people, when you're kind of loading up a car or getting stuff out of a car, what's the thing you do? You kind of kneel on the passenger side to reach across to the driver's side and stuff like that. It happens, or the seat gets damp, basically destroys it. And it's been playing up for ages. But now it's got to the point where the the airbag system is just like, no, there's a fault, that's it. So you get a thing on the dashboard and you can't pass it. So anyway, yeah, that is an ongoing thing which we still yet to fix. Hopefully it's going to be a relatively simple fix. We're on about 50 quid for the seat mat override. Basically there's a thing you can plug in and it tells the computer to ignore the seat mat, which is fine because we don't have kids in the car or child seats, so it's never going to be an issue. You always, basically, if you plug it in, the airbag will always go off regardless if there's an accident. So,
and 90% of people, I would think, be like me and think that they can't go in the front anyway.
Yeah, most people put children in car seats in the back, I would guess personally. Anyway, that's another story. So yeah, car failed the MOT, so we're waiting for that to be the part to arrive so that can be fitted. So waiting on that. What else happened this week that went wrong? There was other things, wasn't there? Oh yeah, our toilet. That was the expensive one of the week. So I'm not sure how it works in American homes and around the world, in Europe or whatever, but in the UK, you have your toilet and it's plumbed in, and they call it a soil stack. So it's like a big fat pipe which goes from the toilet down into the drains and into the kind of sewerage system. And yesterday morning, went to the toilet, pressed the flush, didn't have a dump, just to be completely clear, it wasn't my fault. And the water level was rising in the toilet, which is like, oh, there we go, there's a blockage in there. Flushed it again, done the plunger and all that kind of stuff, and it just would not shift. So where the hell is it actually backing up to? So I went outside, and on the soil pipes, normally they're hollow. So if you tap on the pipe, it's a telltale sign if there's water in it or not. And I tapped on the pipe and it was absolutely solid with water. So there was enough pressure built up from the drain system all the way along the pipes, all the way up the side of the house, up about 10, 12 foot in the air, holding that water pressure. So this is pretty badly blocked. Long story short, they got boiling water, soapy water, put it in there. We poured at least 20 kettlefuls of water, maybe more, trying to kind of get it through in case it was any blockage. If you put hot soapy water in, normally it kind of lubricates the pipe a little bit. That can help release a blockage, but no, after about 3 hours of doing that, wasn't happening. So I had to phone an emergency plumber or drainage people. They come out, got some jets, jetted it all out, took them about an hour, cost me 350 quid, and it turns out it was limescale. Now, Bristol in the United Kingdom is well known for its hard water, and you get limescale deposits on basically anything water touches here in the kind of southwest of the UK, especially our area. Lots of limestone. So it turns out that the actual pipes were basically just caked in limescale, and there must have been kind of tissue paper had gone down and other stuff, and it basically just all matted up. So yeah, it wasn't a great look, but eventually got it done. Yeah, it was £335 and pence. So I rounded up to 350 because the two guys who were working out there, they were really good and they did what they had to do. They were working for a company, so they didn't necessarily want to be there because it was late Friday afternoon. They wanted to get home, so I gave them a couple of quid each to kind of sweeten the blow. So anyway, yeah, they said it's the worst limescale they've ever seen in a soil pipe. He said that he doesn't think that the pipes have ever been jetted, ever, at all. There was basically, like a builder's bucket. So a builder's bucket is about that tall, kind of that wide. Yeah, about that tall, that wide. I think they're 15 litres. It filled up an entire bucket of limescale. So if you imagine what you get out of a kettle, times that by like 1 million. It was horrendous. There was literally big chunks of, you could see the outline of like the pipe, and it's probably about that thick in places. So about a good centimetre thick in limescale, just coating the entire pipe. Ah, dear. So anyway, there you go. It was No,
Dave Aiken, he did the mega turd when I was babysitting.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a mega turd, no. It wasn't. I wish it was. Angel did cook us a massive dinner on Wednesday or Tuesday.
Thursday.
That would.
Wednesday,
if it was going to go, that would have been it. But it lasted after that day, so it was all good. Oh dear. So yes, I haven't done a 10 centimetre diameter turd. Actually, what is 10 centimetres? I might have done that. Oh no, I haven't. No, that's like bigger than a Coke can. Oof, that's like childbirth scale. Yeah, I'm probably a good 5 or 6 centimetres, but I'm not going to get to that. Holy crap. Literally, holy crap. Anyway, that is enough of that. So yeah, it's been one of those weeks, lots of things. Anything that could go wrong has gone wrong. Also as well,
Ali says, if you had that much limescale and now in the pipe, what was the actual stuff causing the blockage? It was the limescale.
Yeah, because the limescale I think must have been breaking away, or was like jagged edges, so toilet papers.
I think he kept chucking stuff down the toilet, didn't he?
Yeah, the plasterer, when he was doing the ceilings, was putting water down there. So whether or not there was some stuff that went down with that, couldn't find any evidence of that. So I don't want to blame the plasterer, but
maybe the pressure. The
pressure of chucking buckets of water down there maybe dislodged something. I don't know. Difficult to tell. Oh
wasn't
dear.
blocked right to the rim or nothing, was it? It did go down.
Yeah, it would gradually go down. I could hear it on the pipe. If you put my ear against like the sewer pipe, you could hear like almost like a very slow waterfall, like a trickle, almost like if you've got tropical fish, the noise you get from the pumps and the water like trickling. So you could hear some water coming down through. So it wasn't totally blocked. It was eventually kind of going down, but it wasn't going all the way down. There wasn't enough pressure. Anyway, so yeah, good evening everyone. And also, I've been sent a lovely thing by our good friends at MSI. So they've sent us this. It's mostly an empty box now because this is actually new. So you are actually watching this stream via Wi-Fi 7, believe it or not, which is pretty cool. So this is the new Romi B Lite. It's a bit confusing because it's called B Lite, but it's not B as in you should be somewhere or whatever. It's BE is actually the new wireless technology. So we had the previous stuff, which was like G, etc., etc., and we got to AX. So quite often you see AX motherboards. This is now the new standard for Wi-Fi 7, which is BE. So that is the new thing to be looking out for. So if you're buying a motherboard and it's got Wi-Fi 7, look for the BE logo or BE status on there. And yeah, you get very, 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 very fast Wi-Fi, which is excellent. So over 2.5 gigahertz, over 2.5 gigabits per second, just in the backhaul itself between the two nodes, which is incredible. So the Wi-Fi on here can actually be faster than my wired 2.5 gig Ethernet. Oh, words is hard. So anyway, I've been testing this out, got it set up yesterday. This was the other thing that went wrong, not the MSI units, fortunately, but it was actually, sorry, did I not clear that text off the screen? I did, yeah. Our Virgin Media Internet has been playing up again. So I spent probably about an hour yesterday messing around on the phone with them. Apparently they fixed it. It does seem much better. The speeds are better. But then this is better as well. Yeah. Yes, you have your hand in the air.
Or Ali says, what is the coverage like on that Wi-Fi?
Now that is what I was going to get to, coverage. The coverage on Wi-Fi 7, you'd think it would be less because of it's basically still 5 gigahertz. So you'd think that it doesn't penetrate as well, and it seems to. It seems to be better. So previously we had a really nice mesh system, which was the Orbi, which I think we got from KLEVV 2427, I think, on the Discord, possibly.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure it was. Kath says yes. So that has been, we've had that with 3 mesh units, so 3 individual units, but this is only 2. And this is actually covering more distance with 2 than my system did previously with 3. And also the system I had previously, which was the Zycel Multi, which again was 3 units. So not only are we getting better speeds, we're getting much better throughput, and also we're saving electricity. It's not a lot. These don't use a great deal of electricity, but we are be able to use 2 of these now in the house rather than 3. So less cabling, less wires, less stuff. It's generally a good thing all over. And if you are like me and you're slightly kind of security conscious and a little bit kind of dubious about what is going on in your network, you maybe look after your own PC and you're kind of like the family guy who looks after the rest of the family's PCs and makes sure that everything's safe and secure. This has got a really cool app built in, which is called the 40secu, which is powered by Trend Micro, and it's got a load of features in there which are kind of like antivirus, firewall, notification systems. It basically can check all of your connected Wi-Fi devices to see if they're secure, if there's any known vulnerabilities in them, so you can obviously update them should that be the case. Especially these days when we're using a lot of new technologies such as kind of your home automation devices, your IoT devices. Quite often you get these kind of cheap Chinese things and you never quite know if they're secure or not. Well, this is great because it can actually check them for you without you having to kind of go through trawling through loads of documentation, looking what it supports and what it doesn't. And even if they're truthful about reporting that, this does it all for you. So genuinely very cool piece of kit. I am in the process of reviewing this. Doing the testing at the moment over the weekend. Probably do the video Monday or Tuesday, so be looking out for that to come very shortly. It's not cheap, but it is, I believe, at present, the cheapest mesh Wi-Fi 7 system you can buy on the market. So if you are considering upgrading your system in the near future, or maybe now, and you want to get something which is very good, very strong signal, loads of security features, and actually looks quite nice, you're going to pay for the privilege, but you can pick up one of these. You're looking around about £280 for the twin pack. They are also going to be selling individual units as well. So if you want to add on to your mesh to extend it, if you've got an absolutely huge house, then you can do. And they will be selling the individual ones, so you can just use one on its own. So maybe you've just moved into a new rental, new apartment, you're in a flat or whatever. You don't need an entire mesh system, but you still want Wi-Fi 7 and you want all those very, very cool security features. Then you can pick up one of these. I think the single packs are going to be about 140 to 150. So yeah, very good. I'm actually impressed. The app itself, we'll go through that in detail in the review. The app is very new, and I think it needs a little bit of polishing. There's still the odd word here and there which doesn't entirely make sense because they've probably translated it from Chinese or something. Like there's a button called initialize, which for most of us would think, well, you're initializing, you're starting something, but in actual fact in the app it's the thing to do a factory reset. So little things like that which could catch you out, but don't worry, I will be going through the majority of those things in the app. But yeah, overall, very pleased. I wasn't expecting, I'll be honest with you, I was a little bit dubious because MSI sent it and said, can you do a review? They did actually offer to pay me to do a review to get it done quickly. I said, no, we don't do that. Like, we don't accept money for reviews, as much as we'd love to help you out. Not interested in that, but if you want to send us one free of charge and we can say what we like, then I'm happy to take a look at it. So they went back to HQ, said, look, you'll get a free review. It may not be exactly what you want, but it will be an honest review. So that is exactly what we're doing. So no money has paid hands. They have sent us this to use. No money has crossed hands. They've not paid us, but they have sent the units free of charge for review purposes. But they have not told us what to say or anything like that. They won't be checking the content before it goes out. So it will be completely honest and genuine, which I'll be honest with you now, there are some reviews of this I've seen already, which are obviously sponsored reviews. I'll leave it at that. I won't say any more, but hopefully you guys know, if you watch videos from us, you'll know that it's basically my thoughts. Then I might be wrong. I may say something wrong, but it's my thoughts. So anyway, very much looking forward to doing the review on this. Again, if you're looking out for one, yeah, I'm pretty pleased. I've used a lot of mesh systems over the years, and some are good, some are bad, some are a little bit kind of baffling. This one kind of sort of makes sense, which is a bit unusual. There's a few quirks, but it's a very new system. It's literally just come out. So obviously, being as MSI, there's going to be update after update after update for the firmwares and the software. The actual hardware itself is based around, the software itself is based around OpenWRT. So if anyone knows what that is, OpenWRT is kind of like an open source router firmware, which MSI have just customized for themselves. So if it's a feature which is in OpenWRT, there's a strong chance you're going to find it in here as well. Although they may take some features out to make it a little bit better for retail customers. But anyway, there you go. That is the MSI Romy B Lite mesh system. But yeah, very cool. Very pleased with that. And a few little quirks aside, a few little connectivity issues when first starting up, when you're transitioning from one Wi-Fi to another. The things like, like you can't find the device, or that's always annoyed me actually. When you're setting up a new SSID, if you want to replace your existing mesh, you'd think there'd be something where you could just make it so that it copies your existing settings, so you don't have to go around resetting all your devices. But anyway, here's what it is. So yeah, if you're interested in Wi-Fi, that's definitely well worth taking a look at. Hello, Mattis. How you doing? Let's say hello to some of you in the chat, because I've not said hello to people.
844.
Hang on, 844. 844. Where's that? 844. 844. We haven't been going that long already, have we? Jeepers. Thanks, Rajdi, for being a member for 2 months and for enjoying all our content. Much appreciated. Where are we? 844. 844. Scrolling. Mick Barnes, did you say?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, question. Can any mesh systems be controlled from web browser in case app fails? Yes, this one can. There are others that you can. The Multi does. The Netgear one, the Netgear Orbi, that does as well. Quite a few of the modern ones do. Some of the older ones didn't. I know there was the Tautronics one. That was, I think, app only. And there probably was one before that. There's been a couple. Mercusys, I think, they're another one which you can only do via the application. But yeah, with this, it's actually quite nice because in the application you can install it, go through all the features in there. If there's a feature in the app which isn't present in the actual web browser, you can click on a button in the app to open the app in the web browser. So yeah, if you're looking for a feature which is like, well, I'm sure that was there, like some sort of port forwarding or whatever it is, then yeah, you can click on that and it will open up the app in a web browser. So you get the web browser experience. Hopefully that answers your question, Nick. Duke Man says, quite pricey. It is, but I have a look for Wi-Fi 7 BE rated Wi-Fi mesh systems. I think the next cheapest one is possibly one of the Asus ones, and that I think is about another £100 dearer. So at the moment MSI are coming out a blinder because they're doing a new system with the new technology, new specifications, and they appear to be beating the rest of the competition. It'll be interesting to see what other budget manufacturers come out. Zycell no doubt will try and undercut it at some point, but Zycell are one of those companies where you're kind of, they've had a few issues security wise recently and in the past, so it always makes you wonder what is going on.
846 Ricardo.
846 Ricardo. I'm squinting now. Ricardo, can someone tell me if RTX 3060's 12 gig paired with an i5 10403 will be a huge bottleneck? No, not well. It depends what games. If a 10400 isn't going to be a bottleneck for the majority of games, because most games use the GPU. There are going to be some games which are CPU dependent. So things like, I think it's like the Age of Empires type games where there's a lot of stuff going on screen at the same time, or some games which are traditionally coded that way, such as like CSGO used to be. I don't think CS2 necessarily is nowadays. But yeah, some games will be more CPU intensive than GPU intensive. Well, I think that's actually quite a good pairing, to be honest with you. Srinjoy says, good memories with OpenWRT. Had successfully bricked my router at first attempt. Oh God. Not good. Kieran says the Amazon Arrows can, but you've got to set it up first. That's going back to using the WAP. Nick Barnes says, oh, that's correct about app only. Oh, for the Tautronics, yeah. It's weird how some companies do that. In some ways it's good, because if you've only got app access, it means that depending on how the app interacts with the routers, it's a security thing, because it means other people cannot access your router via a web browser. So that is actually a good way of locking it down. But it's also a pain in the ass if your phone doesn't work or the app stops working.
Hello, Otis.
So there we go. Let's have a look. So yeah, Virgin Media have actually, where's my phone?
Full house over here.
Kath's got all the cats over there. She's got Otis, she's got Maisie, and she's got Flame. So I'm just going to fire up the app. Oh, the app is running. And let's have a look. Welcome. Select the router you want to log into. Thank you, Otis. So there, to give you an idea of what the app actually looks like. It's actually quite nice and clean. I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see that on screen, but hopefully you can just about. So yeah, nice clean looking app. All the main features there on the home page. It's very MSI looking, and if we go into security, it tells you what devices are connected. You get vulnerabilities that are detected, how many blocked. I've got 2 blocked network attacks currently. Let's see what those were. And where is that? So someone has been trying to do a UDP port scan, and someone also has been trying to, actually, yeah, it's quite interesting because it does give you some pretty good details of kind of what the problem is or what the fault is. So not sure if you can read that. Maybe you can. So obviously some devices have vulnerabilities. So port scanners will just blast a port scan across millions and millions of IP addresses looking for those devices, and certain QNAP devices had a vulnerability which is really easy to access, and you can see someone's attempted to do a port scan for QNAP devices in our house or on our network. It's quite a high severity thing if you've got a QNAP device, because it's just really easy to hack into. So it's basically telling you what is going on, what is happening to your system, whereas most people are kind of blissfully unaware. And to be honest with you, ignorance is bliss, let's be honest. But it's quite nice to know that if your system is having issues, or maybe someone's tried to download something, or maybe you've gone to a website and there's been like some sort of weird cookies or some potential malware in the background, it will let you know of it, which is really handy. So yeah, I do like that sort of stuff.
Whilst all the time recording it in their own stuff.
Sorry?
Will they be recording that in their own systems?
No, because it's only on your own app. Sorry, Otis is getting very demanding. He's very demanding of Kath, and he's like tapping her on the shoulder now. Anyway, there we go. So yeah, good evening. Good evening, everyone. Hello, Ashley, Glenn, Tough Enough, Orali, Mark Gaines, Europa, Skystalker, Viali, Rasher, Roderick. God, there's lots of you. Rasher, Skystalker, Dutch Jan, how you doing? Dutch Jan says just use a network cable. Network cables are not immune to attacks, unfortunately. They're faster in some instances, but yeah. Itematis, Nick Barnes, William Bodie, Joe Barnes as well, if you're listening, and the rest of the family. Welly Bob. Welly Bob's birthday this week. Happy birthday, Welly Bob, for yesterday, I believe it was. So you're now, what, 30 something? Matthew Day says, I'm lucky, 100% coverage straight out of my Virgin Media Hub 5. That's pretty impressive. We've got a Virgin Media Hub 5, and because of the layout of our house is a really weird shape. It's a typical 1930s. If you imagine, those of you that have watched Coronation Street, those kind of like where you've got ranks of houses. So ours is like that. It's quite narrow, but goes back reasonably far. So wherever you have your router, because the house isn't particularly square, you always end up, so there's signal at the front of the house, and then you've got to try and find a way of getting to the signal to the back of the house and potentially into the garden for things like our security cameras and things like that, which are wireless. So yeah, it's a bit of a problem. Previously, we had no choice. We had to have 3 routers. So one at the very front of the house, one kind of middle, normally in Angel's bedroom, like above where we are now, and then one at the very back of the house, which will cover kind of the kitchen, George's bedroom, the garden, that sort of stuff. And more times than not, you could pretty seamlessly roam from one end of the house to the other. Some devices were better than others, but now, just with the 2, the Wi-Fi signal, yeah, I'm sat here. Normally I'd get 2 bars, and at the moment I've got 3 bars, which is brilliant, because there isn't a router above me anymore. Literally, it was like 6 foot. How tall's a door? 6 foot-ish. So 6 foot. So yeah. The router was about 12 foot above me through basically carpet and wood. But I'd still get 2 bars. Oh, I shouldn't have moved around. I've got 2 bars again now. Oh, back up to 3. So if I hold it here, basically I've got 3 bars.
It's so busy. Which
is excellent. I'm very pleased with that indeed. Let's do a quick speed test and see what I get. Now, this phone isn't the fastest phone. It's an old phone from, what, 2016 or something. There's an iPhone XR, so I don't think it's got a particularly fast Wi-Fi, but let's do a quick speed test and see what we get.
No, don't you want a key link?
If you want to do a speed test on your own system, you can go to fast.com. I think it's fast.com. Fast.com. There we go. So if you go to fast.com, yeah, it's oh god, it's pretty bad at the moment. 22 megabits per second, so that isn't right. Something like not connected to the right network. Oh, hang on, Bluetooth's on. Wi-Fi. Oh, I might be on the wrong. I'm still running the old system as well, so I may have just confused things. Oh, my wires hanging out. Yes, this is 22 megabits per second, but that's wrong because it's much faster than that. 30. Yeah, 33. Normally, it was showing like 500 earlier. Oh, I got 13 window. Ah, there we go. I had about 10 tabs open there, and a couple of them actually had the other speed on there. Well, I can't really show you that. Where are we? Speed test. Run speed test. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's better. So we're getting at least 100 and... Well, so it's still climbing. Still climbing. So yeah, about just under 200 megabits. So this is the worst possible place in the house for getting Wi-Fi, because we're right in the middle of the kind of the zone, but still getting it. And 178 megabits is still like pretty decent. Anyway, that's enough of that. It should be more than that. They have said that the Virgin Media box does need rebooting because they were going to send some signals, and I should reboot it like within an hour after. Of course, I never, because everyone wanted to use the internet. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Dave Aiken says, I bet you'd be willing to do a sponsored video for a new BMW 5 Series. Kath says no straight away. I'm hesitant. I wouldn't mind doing a sponsored one, but as long as I didn't have to say anything which I didn't believe. But I would be, for something like that, a car, which is worth, what? I don't even know what they are. Probably 30, 40,000 pounds. Yeah, you would have to consider it. I'm not stupid. That would be a pretty cool thing. If I got to keep the car. I think that would be the best way. Anyway, let's move on from there. So yeah, we're all good there. Dave Anderson says, what about Wi-Fi 8? Wi-Fi 8 is still very, very much like not even talked about here, really, in the UK. I don't think anyone's mentioned it. It's very few motherboards. I've only got one device in the entire house which has Wi-Fi 7. And that is my ASUS motherboard. Actually, what's that got anyway? That motherboard might have. The B650 Edge Wi-Fi, I think, is Wi-Fi 6E. I'm not too sure. But yeah, there's only one device I've got, which is that. And it is the ASUS motherboard up there. Which is, to be honest with you, actually, this is something which I noticed yesterday. Now, a lot of people say they notice the difference when they're on Wi-Fi. I used to also. And that PC has a wired 2.5 gigabit Ethernet, and it also has built-in Wi-Fi 7. Yesterday, when I was doing my testing, I deliberately disabled my LAN so I could test the speeds, and that is basically going through one. Well, it's good that to get a signal there, it needs to go through the back of the TV, through an entire chimney breast, and the fire.
Can you clear the screen? And
then through another big brick wall and plaster here to get to the computer, and it was still getting very, very fast speeds, even though the internet was still not working properly. And it even got to the point where I didn't notice that there was latency or lag or anything. And when I went to go to bed last night, I went to look down at the time to see what time it was, and I noticed that the Wi-Fi icon was there rather than the Ethernet one. So that is how little difference there was. I didn't even notice I was on Wi-Fi. That's pretty impressive. So no dropouts, no loss of signal strength, loss of speed. And I was transferring my files to and from the NAS at the usual kind of 280 megabytes per second. Yeah, it was brilliant. Happy days. Very pleased with it. Works from what I can tell, even though I only set it up yesterday, very impressive. Not cheap. Matthew Day says $26.99 for a Wi-Fi 7 card on eBay. That's not bad. I thought they'd be more than that. Well, I was saying that, being that you can pick up a, well, where have I put it? I did have them up there. Little USB Wi-Fi dongles for like a £5. So you've got to put it into context, I suppose. Can you clear the screen? Says Rick Willow. I think I have.
That was when he said it.
And I've just noticed there's something. Oh no, that is lined up. Okay. Anyway, right. Let's get back to the meat and potatoes. Is that right? Yeah, meat and potatoes of what this video is meant to be about. This stream's mostly about. So we're talking about building PCs again, because most of the stuff which is coming out for the new platforms, we kind of know where it is now. Intel have released their new chips, their new chipsets, and also we kind of pretty much know the pricing. The official release, I think, is on the 24th of this month. But so far, I don't think there's going to be any real surprises. They're basically kind of using half the wattage and getting roughly the same sort of speeds. Kind of very similar. So they're kind of on par. Some things they're going to be a little bit slower. Some things they're going to be a little bit faster because they've removed hyperthreading. So it's kind of, we sort of know what it's all about. There's been a few kind of semi-reviews going out, but until we see anything concrete, it's going to be hard to say. It is a new platform, so it is going to take some time to mature, much like AM5 did, or is still doing. We know that AM5 as a platform is still kind of meh in terms of the 9000 series, and if anyone's bought a 9000 series, let's hear it in the chat. Let's hear if anyone has bought it. I don't think I know anybody who's got a 9000 series processor. And I definitely don't know anybody who's got an 800 series motherboard. That's for sure. At least not for the AM5 generation. So,
Hi, Candy.
yeah, let me know in the chat. Nick Byron says, can't you upgrade the Wi-Fi card that's built into the motherboard when available? Yes, generally you can do. O'Reilly says Wi-Fi 7 has only had Wi-Fi certification program for manufactured devices this year. So only now are items being submitted this year having official Wi-Fi 7 certification marks. And also down to Wi-Fi 7, there's a lot of things to do with the 6 GHz spectrum, which apparently in some regions they are using Wi-Fi 7 6 GHz. Whereas here in the UK, I don't think 6 GHz is actually allowed to be used. So we are still using 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz signals, but they are changing how those signals are used. So I think they call it the QAM or CAM, so QAM, and it's to do with how much data you can squeeze in those packet sizes. I'm not sure. I'm not an expert on it, I'll be honest with you, but as far as I know, they're basically squeezing more bits into the same frequency, as it were. So yes, some weird stuff going on. Rasher says, anyone else had a black screen just now? I had to refresh. I don't know. It didn't go black on there that I could see, but if anyone else got it, let us know. So yeah, going back to what the stream is supposed to be about. So when it comes to building a PC again, at the moment, there isn't a lot of point spending a great deal of money, especially if you're just getting into gaming or you just want a relatively basic PC, because you can still do that for around about £600 for the entire tower, including a moderate graphics card. If you don't need a graphics card, then things are looking probably about £200 cheaper. So you can kind of, maybe £350, £400, you can get yourself a nice little PC to get up and running, and you can still play a few games with onboard graphics. Most people kind of want to have a dedicated graphics card, and that sort of makes sense. And with a lot of people now looking like we're kind of getting towards the middle of October now. So middle of October, you're going to turn around in a week's time and it's going to be Christmas, because time is just going to fly by. There's so much stuff going to be going on. You've got obviously Halloween, then you've got November 5th, Fortnite, then you've got Amazon Prime, the Black Friday sales towards the end of November, then you've got Thanksgiving in America, then you've got Christmas in the UK. So you've got 5 big things all going on in the period of like the next 2 weeks After that, it's just going to be one thing after the another. Oh, and of course you've got the general, not the general election. You've got the American elections on November the 5th as well. So firework night as well there. It's there's going to be a lot of stuff going on, and the time will go by very quickly. We are in the northern hemisphere here, so we are going to be getting shorter days, less daylight. So yeah. Time's going to seem like it's going by very quickly. You're kind of going to wake up, dark, do some work, look out the window and be like, I've only just had my lunch and it's dark. What's going on? So days are going to get very compressed for a long time. So we've got winter coming. We've got fall and winter. It's not going to be until March that we start seeing things kind of stretch back out again. So yeah, it is going to fly by. So you got to start thinking about these things early. So many people will leave it to last minute. If you start thinking about it now, by the time the sales or Black Friday happens, November, you kind of have something in your head of what you want to buy or what parts you need to buy to finish off any potential builds you may have already started. There. Let's have a drink of this. Mike, any 10 streams till Christmas? What? Really? Oh my goodness.
How many until summer?
Skystalker says, one thing I've found recently, the Thermalright 240mm AIO coolers are cheaper than most good air coolers, only 59.95 Canadian rupees. Crazy cheap, RGB even. Yes, definitely. We reviewed them not long ago. Price is not quite as favourable here in the UK. You're looking, well, if you take 60 Canadian dollars is roughly about 30 to 35 UK pounds. At the moment, the Thermalright coolers are kind of almost on par with your Canadian pricing. So a reasonable RGB one, you're looking at about £60. The cheaper ones run about 50, sometimes as low as 45, but still nowhere near the kind of equivalent prices. We also have VAT as well, so that adds 20% onto most prices as well. Yeah, there you go. Not good. Sang Helios Gaming says, I feel like Mike is the type of person you can be friends with. You can. I'm pretty easygoing. I'm a very much open book. Cap's pointing upstairs. What? I got to look up?
You put you were the best chat channel. I thought it's sarcasm.
Oh. Sang Helios Gaming, is that how you pronounce it? If I've pronounced it wrong, I do apologise. It isn't intentional. Rasher says, definitely a good time for a new PC for me. Good excuse. I am tempted to go for one of the new Intel systems. Everything in my gut tells me I shouldn't. It just feels wrong, but I think I might. But I don't know. I don't need a system, but I am tempted. Just because everyone's like, crazy AMD X3D is the only way to go. So it's like, well, in that case, I'm going to buy Intel just to be different. Hey. Airwin says, after 7 months of using my Thermaltake Series 300, my PC remains as clean as like I just ordered it. Very good PC case indeed. I like the series range. The 300, the 330, the 350MX, the 500. I like them. And yeah, like most of people who know me or have been to this house know that it's an absolute shithole at the best of times. It really is. There's so much stuff going on. We've got all kinds of stuff going on. We've got a wood burner. There's 4 of us living in a relatively small house. We've also got 6 cats. So there's a lot of dust, dirt, debris,
you are not dirty, are you,
stuff
Candy?
Everywhere. Especially when we've had the plastering done. And I haven't cleaned any of the PCs. I've literally left them as they are. Well, CAFs I've had to do because it's CAFs, but I've not touched this one. And it is... The dust filter looks pretty clean, actually. And there's nothing inside. In fact, I do love being able to do that. There's a very, very... I'll see if I can get it on here. Don't copy my fingerprints, you bastards. So you can just about see there's a very light bit of dust in there. Nothing major. And I've not cleaned this out at all. I very rarely touch it, to be fair. And that is mostly on all the time. So yeah, the air filters work really great, especially with the 140mm fans, the CT 140 fans, because they spin really slowly. They don't really pull in a lot of dirt, but they do move air. Skystalker says, I'm with you, Mike. Everyone says, don't get that, and I want to try it. That's why I'm running with a 5900X 3D on an X870 chipset. So, X870, that's interesting. You're probably the first person I know that's got an X870 chipset, or board with X870. Greg Dodd says, how did the prop PC go down in the end? Was it as he wanted? Honestly, he could be dead. I sent the PC, we had loads of conversations, loads of contact. I posted the PC and I've not heard since. So I have no idea. No idea whatsoever. Totally ghosted on that. Susan Robbins, how you doing? Says, a home that is lived in is a happy home. I wouldn't go as far as that, but it's definitely lived in. We try to keep it as happy as we can. But with everything that's been going on recently, yeah, it has been problematic. O'Reilly says, Mike, you need a white linen glove if you're doing cleaning, going around cleaning. Downton Abbey cleaners. I've actually got those gloves. I do actually have white gloves for that purpose, linen gloves. I actually bought them. I don't know why. I must have been such a dipstick and so gullible. But when COVID kicked in, people were like doing all that stuff.
My brother gave me them.
But yeah, I wanted some. I wanted to buy some. I was going to buy some. But I thought, no. But then your brother had them and I had like COVID hands or something. Some infection on my hands and I had to wear them very briefly. Yes, it's like a snooker referee. Where's Dave, your new system builder? I don't know.
Got Candy next to you.
Candy's there.
We've got Candy, Maisie, Flame and Otis in here. Who's missing? Poppy and Dave.
Poppy's upstairs on the chair, I think.
It's just Dave's out.
Dave's always out. Anyway.
He's letting his hair
right.
down.
So, the PC. Let's take a look at the PC part picker list now. For those of you that want to follow along or just check it out for yourselves, I have actually left a pinned comment in the chat already to the PC part picker list. Now, this is a guide. Now, the video is going to be going out shortly, so prices are subject to change. The reason I say that is because obviously when I'm making a video, I'm going on the prices that are on the screen of that day. Now, if there's a massive deviation in prices or certain special offers are no longer available, that is obviously outside of my control. So don't think I'm deliberately choosing parts which are out of stock straight away or double the price the next day. Obviously that isn't the case because you're seeing what I'm choosing in the video pretty much in real time. Just wanted to clarify that. So let's take a quick look at the PC part picker list, which I think I've got on this tab here. So yeah, what I'll do is I'll open up this list. You should be able to see this. Let's go with the stream desktop. So hopefully, there you go. So I can see the chat now.
Is that okay there?
Yeah, I guess.
It's slightly in camera.
So yeah, you can see your chat, so you can still chat to each other and you can watch the screen. So this is our parts list. Now, obviously we're in the United Kingdom. So if you want to see it in a different currency, just go into the link on your own device and choose the appropriate country. Now, I don't think anything has majorly changed here. Something which people always get a little bit concerned about is this bit here on PC Part Picker, saying, warning, these parts have potential issues or incompatibilities. See details below. So you click on that and I'll go through and I'll tell you what the problems are. So at the moment, it's saying there that the BIOS version may not be compatible with this processor. Now that is another reason why I've chosen this motherboard, because it's just such an easy board to flash. Fingers crossed. Hey Rick, Willie Bob, happy birthday for yesterday. So that is, yeah, it's a very good board. Realistically, now, actually, let me put it on the main camera. So if, something that I get asked an awful lot, and it kind of, it's, I guess it's common sense to me because I know what the deal is, but people often say, I'm going to be buying like X motherboard and X processor. Will it work straight out of the box? Now, because every country generally has its own distribution chain. So if you imagine all the motherboards are generally made in one place, so probably Taiwan. So imagine warehouse in Taiwan, goes to a distribution center ships it off to here, there, everywhere, whatever. And it's a constant rotation, and then there's some stockists are going to be selling the boards quicker than others, so they're going to be reordering. So then there's going to be another shipment and going off at different times. So it's almost impossible to tell if a motherboard is going to be like up to date out of the factory. It's impossible to tell. So what I always say is with any motherboard, so in this, for instance here, we've got a Ryzen 5 5600 processor, which is, what, what's that, 4 years old now? 3-4 years old maybe. So if the processor's that old, the motherboard is probably 5 years old, if not slightly more. So if the motherboard hasn't got an up-to-date BIOS for a processor which came out sort of 3 or 4 years ago, first of all, you've got to be thinking to yourself, like, that's clearly not a good thing. It's probably going to be quite old stock. So that is something to definitely consider. So I can't say whether it's going to work out of the box, which is why PC Part Picker have their warning on there saying potentially this may not be covered. Now, actually, in this particular instance, if I take a look at the motherboard that I've got for this particular build, this one here, this one came courtesy of KLEVV 2427, I believe. I think. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. This one here, as you can see, says 3rd gen AMD Ryzen desktop ready. So this is 3000 series ready. It doesn't appear that it has a 5000 series ready sticker on it. So this is a slightly older board, which potentially might not be updated for 5000 series. Now I know who it's come from and I know it has been, but ultimately if I needed to, I can just flash the BIOS. It's not the end of the world. It has that facility. This is why I generally never recommend a motherboard that doesn't have a BIOS flashback utility of some sort. Because potentially, if there's people watching the videos and they're following along thinking, oh, that's great, I can just flash the BIOS. If they get a cheaper motherboard that doesn't have BIOS flashback, it's going to be a problem. They're going to need to get an older processor, which is compatible. I don't think AMD still do the loaner system, where they loan you a processor. I don't think that is still active. So you'd have to go to like a secondhand store, CEX, eBay, Facebook Marketplace, and buy yourself a old processor to be able to boot the BIOS, to be able to update the BIOS for your new socketed processor. So yeah, if it has a warning when you're going through PC Part Picker about incompatibilities, A, it's going to be because of the date. They don't know when the motherboard is manufactured. And secondly, like, yeah, it's one of those things. If you've got a BIOS flashback, it isn't going to be a problem at all. Now I've actually got two of those motherboards here, both of them identical. One actually was bought much newer, but like brand spanking new. That was a used board. And even the brand spanking new one I bought doesn't have the 5000 series sticker on. At least I don't think it did. I did need to check that again, but I'm pretty sure it didn't, because I think I got both boards out earlier to Kath and said, look, I've already got one of these boards. Anyway, so there you go. Hayden Trent has deleted that. Okay, I was just going to acknowledge that. Yeah, I know where you're coming from. It kind of is, but it isn't. Rasher says, Mike, there's a porn tab still open. Oh, damn, that's the extensions one. I'll close that one. It's not that sort of extension. It's a different one. Erwin says, have you ever tried to build the specialized type of computer? For example, the quietest one, the most powerful, most power efficient, etc. Kind of yes and no. I generally tend to go with the one that makes the most sense, but also is probably the quietest one as well, because I do like my PCs to be quite quiet. Anyway, moving on. So back to the PC part picker list. Now I've kind of got that off my chest. So Ryzen 5 5600 processor. At the moment here in the UK, pick up for under £100, which I think is actually pretty darn good value. Got 6 cores there, 12 threads. Yeah, it's a general all-round nice processor. Now, if you wanted to, you could go with a 5600X or maybe something a little bit faster. So let's have a look at what other CPU options we've got. And if we sort these by price, and we'll go for somewhere around about the £100 mark. And so you don't really get a great deal more. So you've got the 5600X, which is a couple of quid more. You've got the 3800X. If you need more cores, probably not such a great idea. You've got the old faithful 3600 for 102. Definitely don't buy that. So yeah, between the 5600 and the 5600X, you've got another, what's that? £11. £11. So that's an option maybe, or the GT possibly. I don't know. That's got onboard graphics with it. Might be worthwhile for some people. And of course you've got the old 5600G as well. If you don't want to buy a graphics card. Sorry, drinking.
Hey Dave.
Maybe if you want to go up a little bit. So you've got the 5700X at £124. That's probably not a bad shout if you need the extra cores. And of course, you've got the old faithful 5800X at £130, still pretty good. Then if you want to go a bit further, you've got your X3Ds for 175, sorry, 174, etc, etc. So I'm not going to bore you to death with that, but there's definitely options there. You can go to the sky's the limit. What's the most expensive one at the moment? The Ryzen 9 3950X for nearly 700 quid. I would definitely not recommend that. And the Ryzen 9 3900X, if you want one of those, Dave Aitken's selling one of those currently for 100 quid. So you could save yourself almost £400 by getting one of those. So just wanted to show you some of the CPU options there. So cooler wise, gone with ID Cooling SE214XT, 1798. I don't think you go too far wrong with that for 20 quid. Obviously there's going to be other options available, but if you want a 120mm tower cooler with a little bit of lighting on it, 20 quid, can't go wrong. Motherboard, as we said, MSI B550 Gaming Plus. If you wanted something a little bit nicer with Wi-Fi built in, obviously you can do, but yeah, depends what you want to go for. But I think that's pretty much one of the best deals at the moment. It's a bit more expensive at the moment, 104. It has gone up very slightly. There was very recently at Amazon, we're doing the B550-A. Yeah, there you go, for 85 quid. So that is a slightly cut down version. Not got any RGB on it on the board itself, but it has got RGB headers. Yeah, that might be worthwhile looking at for some of you. If you want to save 20 quid. They were down to 80 on Prime Day. And I was tempted because I've never actually reviewed this board. It doesn't have a captive I/O shield, which some people get upset about. It doesn't have a massive amount of I/O, but if you're Matthew Day, it does have your full complement of analog outputs. He likes his outputs. Although I think he wants a optical. But anyway, there you go. So yeah, not a bad looking board, to be honest with you. And if you had them side by side with the Gaming Plus, there isn't a huge amount of difference. There really isn't, apart from the I/O shield and a little bit more detailing around here. Still got USB Type-C on the front panel. Still got PCI Express Gen 4x16, PCI Express, or rather NVMe 4x4, and also you've got a 3x4 slot underneath. So yeah, not a bad little board. I was actually quite tempted by that. And of course, 20 quid cheaper than the Gaming Plus, so if you want to save some money there, you definitely can do. Oh, I hate having no back and forward buttons on this mouse. Very upsetting. Right, so back to the list. The KLEVV Bolt RAM, 35 quid at the moment. That's the non-RGB one, so if you want RGB stuff, you're going to pay a bit more. About 35 quid for 16 gigs of RAM is kind of almost the usual price these days here. So that is that. Motherboard, storage-wise, obviously you can put whatever you want in here. I've gone with the new Kingston NV3, which is using their new controller, which seems to be giving some speed boosts. without needing dedicated cache, etc. So that's pretty good. £53 is probably not the best. So if we look at what else we've got, so we go 1 terabyte and 53. I think you've got like the thick watt drives for about 45 quid still. But I don't think they have thick watt on here. Well, let's sort by price. So around 40 quid. Yeah, that's not a bad shot. So about 10 quid cheaper for the Kioxia Xperia. We've had those before on the channel, they're alright. ASRock P300. Not too bad. That's actually quite a nice one. MSI Spatium M371. £50 if you want to go down that route. Or the tried and tested Lexar NM610 Pro. Those are quite nice. Again, 50 quid. About the same sort of price. So there's not really a great deal to speak of there. Other parts, so ASRock Challenger D, if you're looking for a new graphics card for £189, there isn't really a great deal else that kind of comes close to that. Actually, let me know in the chat. Let's go into the main camera there. So in the chat now, if you want to go in, what else can you get graphics card wise for kind of under £200 that actually makes sense new? There's basically nothing. Potentially spending another £100 gets you something closer to maybe a 6800, possibly even new. Or you got other things like the 6750, the 7700 XTs. Those are all potentially worthwhile looking at as well. But it's always going to be one of those things. It's kind of diminishing values. We are possibly going to be seeing some pretty impressive moves from the 8000 series from AMD. Not in terms of raw speed, but in terms of kind of power and pricing positioning. I said it on last week's stream, I think, or was it the week before, I'm not too sure, that AMD are holding back the 8000 series launch because they want to clear the 6000 and 7000 inventory, because after the 8000 series comes out, with its specs and its pricing, it's unlikely people will buy the other graphics cards. So I would imagine that the 8000 series probably won't see the light of day until maybe CES next year, maybe even later, maybe into February, March. I don't know this for sure, and there's all kinds of rumors when they're going to be out, but I would say that the NVIDIA 5 series or 5000 series is going to be announced at CES or around CES time, and probably AMD will follow suit and announce their cards at the same time for the 8000 series. I think that's the most likely scenario, but we'll see. A few of you there commented about the graphics cards, saying about the A770. A770, if it's under £200, I could probably get behind that. Especially with its 16 gigs of RAM, kind of nice. That would be a good choice. I think if I went with an Intel based processor and an Intel motherboard, I would be very likely to go with for an Intel graphics card as well, if I can get one. Very hard to get them still here in the UK. Any stocks which were about basically dried up. Very rare you see an A series graphics card for sale kind of anywhere, which is a real shame. Yeah, Hayden Trent says you had trouble selling that PC with the Intel card last time. If it's for my own personal system, I think I would go Intel. If I was trying to sell it, it's in NVIDIA ideally. Otherwise, it's going to be the RX 6600. This particular system that I'm going to be building, I do have some options because I don't have a 6600 here anymore. So my options are either buy something else in cheap, like a 3070, maybe a 3060, probably a 3070 I would have thought. A used 6600, or I've got a 6800 here. The XFX 319, bit of a big boy to fit inside of some cases, which might lead us on to issues with my next choice. So my next choice for the case, this is probably going to be one which some of you maybe don't necessarily agree with. cases are always going to be down to personal preferences. So I've gone with this one. This is the MSI MAG Forge 100R, which at the moment you can pick up in the UK very easily for £45. So I was just looking at William Bodie there. Question, answer from me about unparked CPU. It makes the PC feel faster and YouTube runs perfect now. Thank you very much, Mike. Oh, cool. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, unparked CPU is one of those weird programs where some people it really helps and others it doesn't, or it does nothing at all. So I'm really glad that you found use in that. I find it to be useful on my system and I was hoping that other people would find the same. So yeah, that is awesome. Brilliant stuff. Viali says the Be Quiet Light Base 900DX windowed ARGB black for 172 quid. Bit more than I'm looking at spending here. Sang Helios says, Mike, the RTX 4060 is a good GPU despite all the hate. You get DLSS, frame rate gen and entry ray tracing, and it's a 1080p card. Yeah, the 4060, I liked the Zotac Solo I had. Did a review on that a little while back. They've come down in price to about $239, I think. Adam Williams, that is an old case. I built in that like 6 years ago. So did I. I built it, probably not 6 years ago, but maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. I think in terms of cases, this is a little bit of a timeless one. It's a little bit eccentric on the shapes on the front. You get two included, I think, no, 2 or 3 included fans straight out of the box. And for 45 quid, I think that is the thing that I'm looking at here more so than the kind of the styling of it. Because we can actually go back and look at other cases for similar sort of price, and there isn't a lot of choice. So if we sort by price here, so the Zalman T6, not in a million years. The Colink, no. Antec AX20, no, don't think so. The Montec X3 Mesh, that is another distinct possibility, although the fans are absolutely turd. So, no. I'm not liking that. It's a nice look, but it also looks a little bit too cheap. The front, I think. Yes, it is only 40 quid and it comes with fans, so yeah, that isn't lost on me at all. And price-wise, 40 quid from Scan. Pretty decent. What else have we got? So then we've got the MAG Forge 100R, 45 quid. There's a few others around about the £45 mark, which are potential options. None of them I like as much as the Forge. You've got the Antec AX61, not a tick. Oh. Hang on a minute, I'll be back. There's a worm.
Just a worm?
Yeah.
I don't like it.
It's just a worm.
I don't like it.
Do you want to remove it?
Yes, please.
Dave, you been bringing worms in, you bad boy?
Have you got a wire on?
Yeah.
Oh, you've unplugged it.
No. Sorry everybody. A worm in the kitchen.
Like worms.
Just don't like worms, and I'm just had to bloody shuck it in the garden. Excuse me, Dave. Ah, there. Sorry about that. Right, where were we? So cases. What's anyone else saying? Let's have a quick look. O'Reilly says, for me, I would be going 50 quid minimish on that part picker list, sorted highest to lowest. Well, let's see what else we got. The thing is, you don't really start getting much more for your money. I would say the Montec Air 903 for 50 quid is a great case. This one doesn't come with any RGB fans, which some people may dislike, but in terms of actually a decent case that comes with fans, comes with 3 140mm fans, not bad at all. But then if you're going down that route and you like the case, some people are going to want to have the RGB fans, so then you can spend an extra £10 and get the normal 903 RGB. Because there isn't really a lot in this particular kind of, there's a bit of a void. You've got the MAG Forge 120A, which is basically a revised version of what we saw before. So that probably isn't ideal either. Yeah, the Montec Air Max, 53 quid. Actually, that might be my new champion. Now at 53 quid. That's great. Shame it doesn't have RGB fan on the back. But 53 quid, that is arguably a much nicer case. And also much more airflow. But it is a chunky boy as well. It's a big case. So, yeah, 53.99 versus 45. So almost 10 quid dearer. But I think that is probably a pretty good shout. You've got the MAG Forge 112R, which is kind of like a revised version. That is mesh on the front. So it has got airflow. That's not a bad case actually, but again, 55 quid. It's basically the same as the other case. You get two more fans, but it's 10 quid dearer. So maybe that is a potential, and it's a bit different. We've not had that on the channel before actually, so I might even get one of those. Yeah, so obviously cases, you can basically get whatever you want. Whatever suits you, you can go with it. Spend as much or as little as you want to. It makes no difference really. You could put the whole thing in a damn cardboard box. It's not going to be much different. Mitch says I have the white Montec Air 903. Beautiful case. I would agree. It's a really nice looking case. Thermaltake views come down quite a lot. The View 270, 59 quid now, which is the price I said it should have been already in the beginning. Because that's quite a nice case. I've actually got one of those upstairs, which I do need to do a build in. That is going to be what... Oh, someone asked earlier, sorry, I didn't answer the question. What happened to the 5700X 3D? I've actually still got it here. I've not even put it in a... Well, the last time I did it, something in the video, I think, to see if it worked. And that was it. I've not touched it since. Nick Barnes says, what about the Johnsbow D41? Yep, that's also a good choice. Susan Robbins says the Montec case looks good. Yeah, I think so. Andy Archer says slightly dearer on Amazon. The $79.99 MSI MAG Pano 100R PZ Micro ATX. I did like the look of that one, but then again, there's Micro ATX. And it seems like, I don't know, there's something about Micro ATX where if I spend too much money on a case, it worries me. I know for some people they like the look or the size because it works out for them, but trying to sell a PC in a Micro ATX setup with an 80 quid Micro ATX case is really hard work. Rasher says, just be careful not to slice your hands if it's a really cheapo case. Yeah, definitely. David Under says, Landley case, go large. Why not? Anyway, so that is the kind of my thoughts on the case. Power supply wise, again, for 50 quid here at the moment. It was a little bit less, but Amazon Prime, the MSI MAG A650BN, bronze rated power supply. It's not modular, it's fully wired, captive, etc. But it's a really popular power supply. These are selling like hotcakes. MSI have kind of found a little place in the market where it's been quite easy for them to capitalize on, because there isn't really a great deal else available for that sort of quality and that sort of money. So if you look at power supplies, you can get all the kind of usual dirt cheap stuff. Let's see, where did it start getting? 650 or above. Well, 600 would be okay. We could do 600. 550 seems a little low. So we'll say 600 watts is the minimum. So yeah, there's not much choice. You've got the Silence XP 600R6. No, not really keen on that. The Deepcool PF600. That's potential, I suppose. 45 quid. There's nothing particularly... that just looks cheap to me. Those cutouts. I don't know what they'd be like for noise. But to me that looks like a CIT power supply with a different badge on it. I would be interested to see what the actual internals are like on that. Maybe that's one we might take a look at in another video. We've got Gigabyte PBs, same sort of thing. The AeroCool integrator, the Corsair CX 650. All kind of similar-ish prices. maybe I think that some of these prices have actually gone down a little bit. So I possibly might even go with the Corsair CX. A couple of quid cheaper. But then you've got the Cooler Master MWE Bronze V2, which is the one I'm actually going to be using, which is the same price, well, 4 pence cheaper. Another option is the Be Quiet System Power 10. That's another £6.50, £51 or £52. So there's definitely some options there. Thermalright as well with a power supply. I didn't realise they did them. Someone else said they did power supplies and I forgot all about it. But anyway, that's my my thoughts on the power supply, and that gives us a total price for our £600 system of £592 and 47 of your earth pence. So yeah, it's not too bad at all, I think. And it's basically, give or take, a few bits have swapped over, but it's essentially exactly the same as what the last under £600 gaming PC was, which was about 6 months ago or maybe more. And I think the one we did before that was basically the same again. So it's kind of really boring. I don't like saying the word budget, but people understand, I think, what I mean. This kind of more budget orientated end of the market, nothing changes really ever. It's kind of like you get your go-tos. Like the previous generations, we had the Ryzen 5 3600, which always filled that kind of £100 processor mark. Now we've got the 5600, which is direct replacement really, generationally. There was no 4000 series as such, which was that kind of product. The 5600 is a great processor. For me, £100 for a processor seems like good value for money. And Dutch Jan says €2,500 is also a budget. I know, yeah, Aletta bust my balls about this as well, saying a budget is whatever you've budgeted for. It doesn't mean cheap.
I tell you that all the time.
Kath says it all the time also, and I kind of understand, but it's...
I thought you'd overheard me talking to my mum about this in the week.
It's one of those buzzwords which people always associate... Whenever people say the word budget, people always associate that with either cheap or low value or low cost. Like,
I think it's supermarkets have brought that in.
Supermarkets mostly have kind of drummed that into us as well. And certain marketing slogans like the budget choice or like, I don't know, budget bargains galore. All that sort of stuff is, you assume that budget means cheap.
I don't.
But I think they like to say budget because it means you're being cost effective, or you're looking at what things cost, but without using the word cheap. Most manufacturers and retailers don't like using the word cheap, because if something is cheap, normally in the UK, I'm not sure if it is elsewhere in Europe and the States, but there's like a thing which goes hand in hand with that. So it's cheap and nasty. That is something which people say, like, what was it like? Oh, it's cheap and nasty. Because rarely do you say, oh, it's cheap and excellent. So by saying budget, it gives the inference of something being low cost, but without necessarily insinuating that it's not a good product. There. Rick says, is Mike budget? Damn right. Yeah. I'm the budget man's, the budget, I can't think, yeah. The budget buyer's gamer's nexus.
Without the hair.
Adam Williams says AliExpress 7500F AMD should be dropping drastically in price over the holidays. The trouble is with AM5 platform, the processors can be very good value for money. Like, we were picking up 7700s for £135 a year ago, and you can still pick them up for that or more now, similar sort of pricing. But it's the other parts of the equation. The motherboards, AM5 motherboards aren't getting much cheaper. AM5 RAM, or sorry, DDR5 RAM is still double the price of DDR4, and realistically for only maybe a 5 to 10% performance improvement. So it's kind of all those little things which add up to make you have a platform which will cost you, I don't know, maybe £800, 700, £800, and doesn't really give you much more than the same platform or a similar platform for £600. So you're kind of wasting money at a certain point. You are getting, I got something stuck on my tongue. You are getting some things such as obviously upgradability. You're getting a little bit better IPC on your processors, but the reality is, in a lot of gaming situations, like if you take something like the 5800X3D versus the 7800X3D, there's not always a huge difference. But AM4, I feel, is still the champion of the platform. It really is. Anyway, there we go. Rick says, budget to me is value, cheap is low end. Yeah, because that's why most YouTubers, when they do the titles or thumbnails and stuff or whatever they call a video, they would call it a budget PC, because they don't want to call it a cheap PC. Some people will like just search what is the cheapest PC I can build or whatever, but most people tend to think of like, what is the best case on a budget, or what is the best CPU on a budget. That's the sort of things that people search for. So in terms of, obviously, whatever people search for, that also drives the video thumbnails and titles. So then the word budget kind of just gets more and more frequently used to infer something is good value. Anyway. Rick Willie Bob says, I went AM5 because 7700 was 135 quid. Yep, like we said. And what a bargain. Thanks, Mike. No worries. I'm still running one of the 7700s, I think, in there, which was the flaky one, but it seems, I'm sure it's been okay. Ah, dear. Duke Man says, there will come a day, of course, that no new AM4 CPUs will be released. Well, we're probably not that far off that. We don't really expect any more AM4 processors. There might be the odd one or two. There's not going to be anything which is groundbreaking or going to be kind of breaking the mold, so to speak. So it's only going to be more of the same. So in terms of the AM4 platform, it's kind of been dead for about, I don't know, when was the last, what, the 5600X3D was just basically a 5700X3D downclocked. So probably the last release of the X3D chips was kind of, that was the last big hurrah for AM4. And since then, it's just been reiterations. I suppose the 5600 GT is a little bit of a weird one. Yeah, anyway. So yeah, it's kind of like a dead platform. Mark Barry says, Mike, you still got the 5700 X3D? I have. It is literally there, behind that RAM. So that is, I've got two systems to build. Basically, I've got two motherboards, identical, which I didn't realise I had, but I have. I've got two processors, so I've got a 5600 and I've got a 5700 X3D, and I've got the choice of two graphics cards at the moment. So I'm sort of edging towards putting the 5700 X3D with a 7800 XT. I think that's a pretty nice pairing. And also I've got the 5600, which I might do with the 6800. I'm not sure if that's going to take, unless I kind of basically give the PC away for about £700. I don't know. With a 6800 in it, I don't know. We've got some serious questions to answer. I've also got two cases from GameMax, which have just come in, which I've reviewed one. The other one I haven't taken out of the box yet. So I'm very interested to see how that goes. Those cases might be the ones I choose, although I think the 5700 X3D, I'm probably going to end up putting in the Thermaltake. No, the 270 isn't here, is it? It would have to be the 380. Yeah. There's a few options. There's two PCs I need to clear, realistically, in the next few weeks, to try and make some room here again, because it's all getting out of hand, as it does. Nick Barnes, question, is the older B551 with a busted USB socket? No.
Sorry, Erwin, I went a bit, but I typed his name instead of another one, sorry.
Dutch Jan says the 5600X is too weak for the 6800X. Well, it's a 5600 and it's a 6800 non-XT. So I'm not too sure if it is too weak or not. It might be.
Did you see? That's why I had it in my head. Erwin's question.
What was Erwin's question?
Kind of dumb
Oh,
question.
sorry. Let's have a look at this question. I like this. If it sounds like it's a dumb question, it might mean I can't even answer it. Hey Mike, this is from Erwin. It says, kind of dumb question. I haven't read the rest of this yet. I have left a few notable spots on my monitor from the fruits, and they are already stuck. How to tear them off without physically damaging the screen? I got to read that again. I have left a few notable spots on my monitor from the fruits.
So is it fruit sprayed on it?
What, are you like eating like a orange or something and fruit is splashing on the screen? What's going on there? I'm not too sure. So yeah.
Why is it code?
I would say don't, yeah, if it's like slightly raised off the screen, don't pick at it really. I would say, yeah, get a cloth, like a microfiber, that's probably the softest thing to get. Run it under the hot tap with a tiny little drop of fairy liquid or something like dish soap. Get a foam up and then rinse it out entirely. So there's no more foam in there. Just with it then, just like really wring it out. So there's no real moisture and it just feels damp. And with the still bit of warmth in it, just hold it over those places on the monitor for a few seconds with a bit of heat from your hand as well coming through. And I don't know, that should dissolve it a little bit. If it's kind of, I guess it's almost like if you splash kind of Coke or something on your screen. I wouldn't have thought it would have damaged the top layer, but I have no idea. Yeah, don't use anything aggressive. Yeah, you can get screen cleaners. There is one which I tend to use, but I don't know whether or not that will be a little bit too dry for what you're trying to do. Where is it? Can't even see the damn thing. It's in there somewhere. Ah, there we go. So this I got off of Amazon. Pixel Perfect.
What George bought you that?
Yeah, George got off Amazon.
I know, but
George bought it anyway. So yeah, use this. It comes with its very own special, very
Mike's Unboxing Blue.
Mike's Unboxing Blue microfiber. A very fine microfiber. So yeah, that's kind of good stuff. You can pick up stuff like that, just give it a little. This evaporates quite quickly. It's got quite a high alcohol content.
Directly on the
yeah, it says don't spray directly on. So this actually has got. We've suffered in this house because we've got cats that we get flies, and they're normally attracted to screens and stuff. So I'm not sure, I can't really show you this, but flies, they got like dirty feet. I don't know whether it's pollen or whatever, or crap, or I don't know, some toxic shit they don't. They get that on their feet. So when they go on your monitor, they sit on it, and it kind of just, you get these little dots. And if you ever get flies in a house, like I find sometimes around my camera, they love the camera for some reason, but they sit on the side of it. There's these kind of like little weird, like tarry sort of dirt marks, and those can take a little while to dissolve. So if you get an alcohol-based cleaner, it probably will evaporate too quickly. So you just want the heat and moisture from a damp cloth, and that will generally get rid of it. So I've just done that on a couple of spots I had in the corner. Yeah, that's not done too bad, but a warm cloth in this instance would have been better. This sort of stuff is for removing like greasy smears or just like general build-up. But if you've got specific dirt on your screen, you can't really do better than a hot, damp cloth. David Underhill says the little dots from flies is fly crap. Goddamn fly crap with their dirty fly crapping flipping feet on my bloody screen.
Nick Burns underneath that. Underneath the one you just answered, the fruit one.
Fruit.
And there was another one underneath that, milli
Who?
something.
Nick Barnes?
Yeah, and underneath that, milli something.
You have to give me timestamps. I can't find them.
Oh. You just read the question out about the fruit.
Yeah, I don't know where it is. Oh yeah, I got it, yeah. Question, is the older B550 the one with the busted USB socket? I've already done that. Mini Hilly, I'm looking to build a PC primarily for music production. Below £1,000. DPC latency and real-time performance is important to me, but I cannot make my mind up on what to build. That's a tricky one. Does it have to be a PC? Because I would be tempted to go with a Mac. I know that's going to be a very kind of polarizing thing to say, but for music production, under £1,000 with good DPC latency and real-time performance, I think probably M3 Mac might be the way forward, because they're super quiet as well. I don't know, hard one to say. I'm no expert on DPC latency. Generally for lower latency, I guess you want slower RAM but lower latency, and a processor which is low latency as well. And I honestly don't know which CPUs these days will be better for lower latency. I think they all suffer for some things, especially if you get a CPU which has more than one CCD, like on the AMD side, or if you go with Intel. Might be worth waiting a little bit and seeing what happens with Intel with their new range and see what the latency is like. Allegedly, they're supposed to be very good because the interconnects on the chip are basically like right next to each other, so there's almost like no kind of distance for data paths to travel, because it's all kind of jigsawed together. I don't know. We haven't seen what the results are like yet, but I would think that they're going to be better latency. And being that they don't support hyper-threading anymore, that potentially might be better for latency as well. So potentially the new Intel 8151, or is it Arrow Lake? I think it's Arrow Lake. The new Intel processors, when they arrive on the 24th, or we start seeing reviews, might be worth taking a look at that. AJ, don't use the M word. Mike, rinse your mouth. I know, but I gotta be honest, haven't I? Mini Hilly says, I think you find, no, what's that? AFAIK. What does AFAIK stand for? I do know it, but I can't think off the top of my head. AFAIK. Someone let me know in the chat, what does AFAIK stand for? As far as I know. That's it. As far as I know. Of course it is. DPC latency is affected mostly by your drivers, especially USB drivers used by the motherboard. I can understand why you would suggest a M3 Mac, but I just don't get on well with Mac OS. That's fair enough. So in that case, if it's by the USB drivers, so you want ones which are, you probably be wanting like USB 4/ Thunderbolt drivers from Intel. They're pretty good. There's a super chat from our good pal Rasher. Thank you, Rasher.
Hold on.
He says the best Saturday night YouTuber channel. The best Saturday night YouTuber channel, in my honest opinion. To be fair,
I see you on the wrong one tonight.
there's not many. There's not many on a Saturday. But thank you. Dukeman says a Mac for less than 100 for the grand. Yeah, you can get a Mac for less than 100 grand. Less than a grand. My brain's going now. It's been a long week.
Same apes.
Thank you, Rasher. Well, that's reminds me actually. I should have checked to see if there's anything.
Let's have a check.
No, Cass checking, that's right. Tomorrow's weather, 11 degrees, 4 degrees cooler than today. MSI, I've got a message here, MSI Rumi. There was a network attack on the router. One network attack prevented. I quite like this app for the Wi-Fi router. Let's see what it's all about. So going to security and block network attacks. Another port scan. one network attack blocked. Happy days. I like that. That's pretty cool. Where are we? There we go. O'Reilly's going to put a link in the chat there for audio laptops with low DPC latencies for music production and video. There you go.
Or join the Discord if they want.
Yeah, or join our Discord, which hopefully the buttons will work now. Yay! Chris McGraw, how you doing? I was looking at 2TB Gen 4 drives here at local Staples. 980 Evo and Pro were above 300 Canadian. And Western Digital Black SN770 2TB is $100 Canadian cheaper, 400 megabytes slower, over 5,000 megabytes. You'll probably just go with the cheap one, isn't it?
Budget. Go with the budget.
Go with the budget option. Ah dear. Anyway, so let's make some headroom, so to speak, and let's actually start putting together this little system, which I'm still not sure what case is going to go into, but this is definitely going to be the motherboard. So we've got the Ryzen, the AMD B550 Gaming Plus. This was actually a bit of a bargain from our Discord from KLEVV2427. Bought this along with the 5600, which was actually pretty decent, and everything looks to be here. Even the SATA cables are in the box. We've got our driver discs and all that kind of stuff. No,
You gonna use them up?
Gonna use what? Use what?
That frame thing.
No. No. AJ Haverkamp says best AM4 ever. Oh yes, it's good stuff. You can't go wrong with. Oh, I just put this away without putting the bag away. So I just got my finger stuck with a bit of metal of the back of this board already. Actually, I know people will complain if I don't, so I will put it on the board, on the box rather, or putting this together. People are like, oh, static. But yeah, I know. It doesn't matter, I'm selling it. It doesn't make a difference to me, because it won't be here. Where did I put the CPU? I had it on the desk earlier. I'm sure I did. Did I put it back up there? No. Right. Imagine for a minute that you or me, where would you have put a processor?
If I was you, it could be anywhere. In the toilet?
No.
On the side of the bath?
It was... I had it here, I was stood in here.
I know, in the fridge.
It might be in the fridge.
You always put things in the fridge.
Ah, I'm gonna have a look down here. That's where I put it. I put it, when I was getting ready for the stream, I was thinking, I'll put it here so it's nearby, so when I need it, it's here. Somebody said it's in the socket. If only. So, here are Ryzen 5. Let's give you the overhead. So you've got the Ryzen 5. Oh, the bloody thing's turned itself off. Hey. There we go.
Get rid of the thing on the screen as well, when you're there.
Okay. Hey Rick Lakes, how you doing? Right, so hopefully you can see that. So let's open up the retention arm and we'll grab our Ryzen 5 5600 and try not to drop it. And we'll stick it in the slot, lower down the arm, CPU installed. Job done. What should we do next? Should we do the CPU cooler?
This chair is so creaky.
Yeah, I bet.
You can hear it, can't you?
Right, we'll do the CPU cooler. Now I've got actually an interesting one to look at because we've never seen this on the channel. I actually bought 2 of these coolers because they were reduced. I've never ever used them. I don't think I've even opened the packet on this one, or have I? No, I have opened the packet. So I'm not sure if anyone's seen these before. This is the Enermax ETS T50, which has a 14 centimeter silent fan. And this is apparently, this cooler is rated up to 230 watts. The only thing is, it doesn't fit LGA 1700. So, well, at least I don't think it does. I meant to look up on that. Let's say what CPUs. So yeah, it doesn't do anything more than. It doesn't even say LJ 1200. Yeah, it doesn't say LJ 1200. It's not even listed on here. So this must be really, really old. But I've never used one. So I think.
I used to use Enermax. Years back.
Yeah, Enermax is one of those brands that you don't really hear much of these days. So let's take a look and see what we get. So it's got a nice big, fat, chunky cooler. Nice big blades on there.
Is that the right screen?
Nope, that's the wrong screen. That's the screen we want. Oh dear. So yeah, it's got an interesting blades on there. Kind of like they're swept in a very unusual way.
Like your hair in the 80s.
Like my hair in the 80s. In a very unusual way.
Swept in a very unusual way. Bless.
So let's have a look at the actual, bloody hell. That's a proper big boy. So we've got 5 heat pipes.
Looks like a fan heater.
All the way across. It's done in actually like a really nice satin matte black finish. And it's got this really weird louver. Louvre? Is that what they call it? Louvre? Louvre? So you can adjust that to blow the hot air coming out of your CPU into the path of your VRMs. So it's kind of swept downwards. I'm not really sure if you're getting that very well. A bit on the dark side. There you go. So you see there's like a louver on the back. If you want to, you can actually take that off. So there is clips on the side. So you could just take it off, which I think, to be honest with you, I probably would do. But that is a serious block of metal. It's quite weighty as well. Quite chunky.
David Aiken says, Thermalright Burst Assassin I picked up is so noisy.
Some of them can be.
Susan Robbins says it looks like a Hyper 212 balloon.
I think it's probably a little bit better than that, but yeah, it's that. The thing is, the Hyper 212 was one of the first of that kind of typical genre of design, where after that there was not really much manufacturers could do because they all kind of look like that. So it's like when they when they started building cars, all cars look like cars because they're cars. And the tower cooler is kind of the same sort of thing. You can't do a great deal about it. So let's have a look and see what we get in terms of fittings. So
Price?
Sorry?
Price, I'm assuming the cooler.
I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it was like 15 quid. Maybe even less. So, it looks like it uses an AMD backplate. I'm not keen on that. That might have been why I never used it, actually. Let's have a look. What's the instructions say? That might not be for AM4. Bear with me.
If you zoom in, you can read it off the screen.
Right, AMD installation. Yeah, looks like it has to be through the backplate. Oh god, I hate installing backplates. Installing backplates is like something which should never have to be done again.
Dom says, I do remember that cooler deal. Less than £12, I bought 5 of them.
Do you regret it, Dom? Because I think I am. These bags aren't labelled up at all. Yeah, I think I understand why this was cheap now, because the instructions are... I'm not going to put that on there.
Andy actually says the new XT version of the same cooler has the new brackets with it.
Ah, does it? So there's new brackets with... Right, got you. Thanks, Andy. So this manual isn't particularly clear. But I'm guessing they all use the standoff.
That cooler, £35.90 on Amazon.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't that when I bought them. I'm sure it was like 12 quid or something. Maybe 15.
Bet YouTube has an instruction video.
Yeah.
It will do.
It won't. AMD FM1. Right, so it looks like Intel. So do you have it facing in or do you have it facing out? AMD. Yes, it says AMD there, but what does that mean? So that AMD goes against the board or the Intel bit goes against the board? Because it's got plastic coating on either side.
Viali says that's with 20% off. About 35 quid.
Bloody hell.
Hey, Candy.
Right, so that is facing up. Right, so it must be AMD facing up. Oh, I don't like this already. Why did I buy this rubbish? That was my idea.
Because it's budget.
Oh yeah, because it's budget. Dipshit. So we've got 4 of those to go through the AM4 doodars, which are the outer ones, if I remember rightly. I never understood that why AMD made the change to go and change the actual pin spacing between AM3 and AM4 coolers. It seemed like the most bizarre thing to do. Right, so got those on. So what goes on next? Number 2. Number 2, number 2, number 2. I hate these manuals. So number 2 is the washer, but it didn't say which one.
It was $11.50. They are £35 for the newer version.
Christ. Christ. So nut is J. So is that the washer or is that the nut? One, two. Oh, I see. What is D? This is like... Ugh. Right, so it's the washer, not the nut I've got to use. Right, it kind of makes sense if you think about it. I think sometimes they put these instructions in and it just basically makes your brain go into overdrive. So yeah, those washers go on there. I never liked this setup. They had this on the old Sahara ARGB AIO. I didn't like it for that reason. All coolers should use the stock backplates, really. It's much easier to do. And I'm starting to think that using this mouse mat was a bad idea because it contrasts so badly. I need a lighter mouse mat, but not one so light that when the cats lie on it, which inevitably they will do, it doesn't discolour too much. Right, so let's take off our AM4 screws. And we'll see how far we can get into this. I still, like I said, I'm not too sure what case I'm using, so I'm just going to get the bare bones kind of assembled of this, just to give myself a little bit of a head start. And I'm still waiting for anyone to suggest another case which might have been a viable alternative for the MSI one. Like I said, I've got a couple of GameMax cases which I'm in the process of reviewing, although I'm not too sure if I want to use those or not. Right, so I've got the back plate behind the motherboard now, and make sure that's all nice. So next we're going to have to use the plastic spacers, I'm guessing, to prevent any damage to the motherboard. Nice. And then I would assume on the top of that we then want our top plate, which I have managed to misplace. Oh no, there it is. So that goes on top of that. And then we've got some thumb screws to go on top of that. Oh. Thumb screws. Really? Thumb screws that you then can't tighten up equally because you don't know how far you've done them. And what if you've got strong thumbs? Or maybe you've got weak thumbs? Suzanne Robbins says, case recommendations are risky. They can be. There we go. So the only way you can really visualize this is to just basically check that they're roughly the same height as the screw. That one's coming through a little bit further. I don't think it's going to make too much difference. And we'll flip it over just to make sure that that all looks right on the back. Nothing's touching, everything looks like it's seated well. Because the last thing you want is for this to come loose. And then your temperatures are going to go somewhat south. So that is basically that. So we've got some Enermax CPU paste, and I can't see what it says there.
11.50, Mike.
11.50? What, is that how much we paid for it?
I assume so.
Alright. He's just gone through, trolled through the bargains, no chat, I bet. Yeah, £11.50. Like, to be honest with you, for £11.50, you can forgive quite a lot of that.
Should we donate some membership?
Yeah, let's give away some memberships while I'm faffing around.
Oh, I don't want to join the channel.
Thanks.
What's in your name? I don't know.
Oh, it's even more plastic. I can't believe that. This thermal paste is plastic inside of plastic. And then it's got plastic on it. So there we go, we gifted some memberships. So Jay Gordon's been gifted. Cryptic Llama. Matthew Day.
William Bodie.
William Bodie. And that's it. iRolfman says so many ads.
Firestorm.
Oh, and Firestorm as well. There you go. Have some memberships. You can watch Ting. Let's do some paste. Now this stuff is runny. Rightly. That's way too much. But don't let that discourage you. Because we are going to spread it. Spread it like Beckham.
Tony's always wanted one, never got one.
There you go, Tony. Oh, did he get one?
No.
Oh, Tony.
In this situation, how would you know that the back plate is upside down?
Because you wouldn't be able to get the screws in, I don't think. Yeah, because the back plate would actually be physically touching the board. There would be like there is like an air gap. Realistically, I think it's fine anyway, even if it was touching a little bit. But you want to isolate the metal if you can. Blimey, I don't think that was enough thermal paste. Oh, it might be alright. So just going to spread the paste across. Oh. Actually, given their dues, this is actually a really nice paste to spread. The cake icing method is going to treat.
Susan Robbins.
Yeah, I can't see it at the moment. So there we go. That is an extremely even coverage, and just for those that don't like that, I'm going to put another little blob in the middle. So the pressure is going to then equalize outward across the base of it there. Dave Under says it's only thermal paste, not cake icing, needs a microscopic layer. It is actually spread out very thinly and finely on there, to be honest. I didn't think it was going to cover it, but it seems to have. Susan Robbins says, good work on the paste. Thank you.
I love that.
No.
I love my
Dow Coring 340. You can't get it anymore. Best yet, secondly to liquid metal. and it doesn't dry out. And that's awesome. Andy Archer with a £20 super chat. Thank you very much. He says, thank all your and Kath's hard work. Oh, thank you very much. It's mostly Kath's hard work, to be fair. I don't do a lot.
I don't do a lot on channel stuff.
So I've been trying to do more recently, but it's been very challenging times.
5 steps backwards and another one backwards.
Yeah. Oh. Now there's a fatal flaw. The screwdriver isn't long enough on this side. And I don't think they included a screwdriver. Do a couple of turns there, get it started. Did I start it? Yes, I think it did. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to need a longer screwdriver. We're going to need a bigger boat. Actually, what if that one do it? That's a bit thinner. Yeah, that'll do. 1, 2, 3. William Bodie is going to be screaming at his screen now, saying, why don't you use my long reach screwdrivers which are in your cupboard, literally arm's reach away? But they're right at the very back behind all my tools. Because they're so bloody long. But this is right, this is working.
There's no protective foil on the bottom of the cooler, strange.
No, I think I already peeled it off.
Who's that, Candy?
Right, so there we go. That, to be honest with you, that mounting, although a little bit of a palaver, not bad. Not bad at all. And nice bit of RAM clearance there. So I think it's time we installed the fan of fans. I'm actually interested to see what the CPU temperature is going to be like on this when we finally get it installed and up and running. I'd imagine it's going to idle at like, I don't know, 30 degrees or something. So slightly unusual fan where it's not square. And we've got these clips for the fans.
Place memory first.
Well, I'm deliberately trying to make it hard work for myself. And I think I just have. Those clips must go in the back. So I want that to be as low as possible. Yeah, clips go into the back. Oh. I'll tell you what, even though this cooler is only probably like about, well, 5-10 years old in terms of the actual design, it's amazing how far we've actually come in design, that we don't have to really tolerate all this crap anymore. Well, unless you're Arctic, of course. CPU fan header is just here. So I can stick that on. And because that is absolutely fine now, we can just tuck that in. And la la la, nobody knows it's there. So I can get it right under there. Yeah, that's good. That's fine. Right, I think we can install the... Look, actually, you can see better than I can. Look at the RAM clearance on that. That is insane. That is a lot of RAM clearance.
No annoying clicks on water block, just saying, Alessa.
Oh, yeah. There's a little bit of a mark there on there from some heat paste. Words is hard. Especially when you go to IKEA and you get some of those, what are those things called? The little round things with the cinnamon inside?
Cinnamon swirls.
Cinnamon swirls. Gosh, they are good. Right, let's get some WD-40 on that memory slot. Get a little bit of a clean. It's not going to be a problem, but memory is quite resilient these days. Well, at least DDR4 is, anyway. That's a little bit better. So we've cleaned that up. Let's get our RAM. And we are going with, if I can find it, there it is down here. So we've got some KLEVV Cras X RGB, as per the video. This stuff I think I picked up for about £35, I want to say. Which I think is good value, because this stuff is pretty awesome. And it's steel sealed, untouched by human hands, as they say.
Andy asked how the fryer cleaned up. It's not smoking now. But
It doesn't give out loads of black smoke now.
without taking it all apart, you can't really clean it, I don't think.
Virtually impossible to clean. Air fryers. Worst thing in the world. Oh. Hayden Trent, 35 quid is decent. Yeah, this was, I think I bought these. Well, Kath would have to look on the on our Amazon page, but I'm pretty sure these were bought maybe May, June. And I think they were returns, but they were, I don't understand how they were factory returns, because they've had the 16 gig seal on. So someone obviously bought them and then realised they bought the wrong stuff and then just sent it straight back. So even though they were Amazon warehouse deal, they were still like basically brand new. And actually I like the Cras X. I think it's a really nice looking RAM. It's got a very nice heat spreader, and the RGB diffusion from this top section is really good. So we're going to go with slots 2 and 4, because if you put it in another slot, it won't work.
Susan Robbins is glad they don't own an air fryer. The only good thing about it was we could chuck the microwave out.
Yeah, we got rid of our microwave in favour of the air fryer for kind of health benefits more than anything. And I guess it is a little bit healthier. So yeah, the food is tastier, definitely. Yeah. Hayden Trent says, got to admit, I've bagged a few good bargains checking out the No Chat Bargains channel on Discord last few weeks. Yeah, it's pretty good. And if you want to join anyone else, you can do from the link that I've just posted in the chat. And actually, if you want to, for anyone who's interested in this this Mike's Unboxing desk pad, you can get this, or you can get one of your own from our good friends at Technically Stable. And at the moment, there's another guy on there who is also promoting them, who's way ahead of us in sales. So we need to sell some more desk pads. So please help us get to be the number one.
AJ Haverkamp, how do you make hot chocolate in an air fryer?
How do you make hot chocolate in an air fryer?
Saucepan.
Yeah, saucepan. Get a saucepan, heat out your milk,
Stick it on top
get
of
some
wood burner,
cocoa.
free, no energy costs.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass to be honest with you, but whatever. I think stuff that's microwave don't taste quite right, and the textures are definitely wrong.
Especially potatoes. Ugh.
Yeah, air fried potatoes are much better.
Do you like air fried potatoes, Pops?
Hayden says, oh my god, they have a Mudeng desk pad. They do. I don't know what that is, but it sounds good. Susan says, I'll be back. Quick walk to the store. Oh, can I have a cornetto? Anyone else want anything at the shop? Susan's going. Put your orders in the chat. Do you want a cornetto, Kath? Or Mars ice cream?
You've got me thinking of Marshfield Farms ice cream.
So, as you can see there, we've got some absolutely fantastic clearance there. Yeah. Christ almighty, that is one shockingly heavy cooler.
What motherboard is that, Mike?
Motherboard is the B550 Gaming Plus from MSI. And that is, I think that's going to be quite a nice little platform. Apparently this fan is supposed to be very quiet as well, and very powerful. Not that it really needs to be, because it's got 5 heat pipes, a massive heatsink, and it is actually really heavy. That feels similar sort of weight to a ASRock Pro. And they're massive. Glenn says Cornetto sounds good. Yeah.
And AJ Havertz
Kit Kat
says,
Chunky. Kit Kat Caramel.
like you said, it's a hell of a job to clean the basket. We're not even talking
Yeah.
basket.
Oh yeah, we're talking the basket's easy to clean. It's the
not
element
easy.
area.
It's still awkward. But it's the element area with fans and stuff all in the way of cleaning.
Yeah.
There's a woman on YouTube that's made brush or wants somebody to make brushes so you can actually proper clean it.
Ira Wolfman says I'm going back to my other main account I forgot to like. Come on. How can you forget? It's fine. You notice I'm smiling a bit today. My back isn't hurting much. It's actually a big difference, it really is. Because I was like basically disabled. I wasn't. Don't take any offence, anyone who is genuinely disabled. Please don't take offence, it wasn't meant like that, but you know what it's like. If you're normally very able, well, if you're able-bodied, then you're not able-bodied, it kind of, it gets you down a bit and it hurts. So I'm glad we're not there anymore. So I need to put a M.2 drive in here. Now, let me know in the chat. This is going to be a value-orientated budget system. We've already kind of discussed that. So in terms of storage space, do I go with a 500 gigabyte or a 1 terabyte drive? Because actually, or a 2 terabyte drive. I think 2 terabytes is going to be too much, because that's going to add another 40-ish quid to the price of the system, which at 600 is kind of that sweetish spot. I think taking it to 650-ish might be problematic. I don't know. But the lovely Andy Archer sent us over some goodies, and amongst those goodies was this Dragon M.2 drive, 512 gigs, made by Somnambulist. Never heard of them before, but it's actually got a really nice Dragon logo on it, and being that MSI is the Dragon, and this has a Dragon logo on it, I'm actually quite tempted to put it in there, even though it will be covered by heatsink. But 512, is that too small? I think it might be. Susan Robbins says, before I leave, 500 gigs, and if I haven't missed, 16 gigs in RAM. Be back. Okay. LD says, no, it's too small. Oh, sorry, it's not too small. Dual Command says 1 terabyte. Wolfman, Gen 3 or Gen 4. This is a Gen 3 drive. To be honest with you, for most systems, Gen 3, Gen 4, you'd never notice the difference. I never noticed the difference between an SSD and an NVMe. So I won't notice the difference between generations, for sure. Hayden Trent says, does it have 2 slots? Yes, the motherboard does have 2 slots. Well done, Aletta. Dutch Jan says 500 gigs for operating system plus a 2 gigabyte. Thing is, this is just going to be for possibly selling, but I don't know. Mark Gaines coming with a £5 super chat there and says, Mike, is the Project Zero B650M upgradable to Wi-Fi 7? I believe it would be, yeah, because it uses a removable M.2 card, so in theory you can just get another M.2 key to replace. I don't see why you wouldn't be able to do it. I would need to look into it specifically for that motherboard and an applicable Wi-Fi 7 card, because some of the issues with the Wi-Fi cards is a lot of them tend to be made by Intel, and some of the M.2 based cards will only work with Intel chipset motherboards. If you're going with AMD, sometimes you get relegated to the previous generation. So like when Wi-Fi 6 came out, you could only get 5 for AMD platform with an Intel chipset. So I would need to really look into that to be 100% sure. But if it isn't at the moment, I would say 100% it will be at some point. So I'm sorry, Mark, I cannot answer your question specifically, but technically it is upgradable because it has the facility to remove the M.2 card, but it's whether or not another manufacturer will release one which is compatible with the AMD chipset. Hopefully that answers your question. And Adam Williams says it's not getting any bigger, better to use it up. Well, that's the thing. I'm not sure whether or not to put the drive in. What the hell? I'm going to put the drive in. And worst case scenario, I can always take it out and clone it to another drive at another point. Because what we're looking for, Windows 11, basic installation, what we're looking at about 30 gigabytes.
You do the math.
You do the math. I wish I could do the math.
I know. Go figure.
Yeah, go figure. Yeah. So I'm trying to think what I've got on my system in the front room. Because that's got a 1 terabyte drive. It's got Windows, Flight Sim 2020, Wreckfest, and Rocket League. Rocket League's probably about 200 gigs. No, 100 gigs. Wreckfest is about 150. Yeah, it's probably getting close to about 400 or so. So if I take out Microsoft Flight Sim, because that's like 200 gigs, I think. Yeah, it's probably going to be okay. So you can get the operating system and maybe a couple of games on there for 500. I think it's a... I am very much umming and ahhing about this. I think I'm going to leave it out and I'm going to probably order a 1 terabyte drive. I think that's probably the best bet. Stupidly, I've got a 1 terabyte drive in there I could use. And I've got a 2 terabyte here, which I could put into there. But then I'm wasting a 2 terabyte drive. But I'm wasting it with it just being sat on the shelf. I thought it was a 1 terabyte, to be honest with you, when I put it up there. I thought I had a couple of spares, but maybe not. Hey ho. That's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. So, what the hell? Let's put this drive in. Just to see what it looks like. If it's easy to get at, which I think it might be. Yep, it's got the easy open. Yay, I don't have to cut anything open. I'll give you a close-up of this drive actually so you can see what it looks like. It's pretty cool. Again, massive shout out to Andy Archer. He sent over some DDR5 RAM as well, which I still haven't reviewed. Which I will at some point.
No, the kittens aren't arrived yet.
Yeah. So there we go, that's the brand. Look at that bokeh in the background. Nice bokeh.
Just added stuff.
There's no bokeh balls though, from the lights. I want bokeh balls. Bokeh ball writer. There you go. Hey, even comes with an M.2 installation screw as well. I'd buy that for $1. Right, made in China. Everything's made in China. LD says 500 gig is a perfect budget option. It can always be upgraded later. That is very true. That's a very pragmatic thing you said there. Only downside about large coolers is the fact that they sometimes can interfere with your M.2 slot, as we saw there. So this actually, has that got? Nope, that has already had the stuff peeled off. So put that in the slot there. Feels really thin actually, that M.2. Jeepers, that's a very small screw. I may need an even smaller screwdriver, which I don't even think I have. Oh. Stay in there. Do as you're told. So that is going to be pH 0, maybe? Yeah, pH 0. Yeah, pH 0. Normally on these you can get away with a pH 1. Never a pH 2. But pH 1 you can normally get away with M.2 screws. Never do an M.2 screw up too tight either. because you can actually damage the PCB, which is obviously not a great idea. And we go back to our PH1. There we go. iRolfman says Wi-Fi 6 is enough, even 6E is overkill. Now I was thinking that myself, because I don't really like using Wi-Fi at all. If I can use a wired connection, I'd much use that. Obviously with like things like your phones, it's difficult to do. But with Wi-Fi 7, it does have a sort of perceivable difference. It just feels different. I don't know even how I can... It's a difficult thing to tangibly show or feel, but it feels like it has like less jitter. It just feels like more like a wired connection. Like I said, if you missed it earlier in the stream when I started off and I was talking about it, I left my PC. It's a high-end PC. It's like a 13900K with a 4070 Ti, 32 gigs of RAM. It's a nice fast system, and normally if the internet's playing up, you can notice it. And I left it on the Wi-Fi when I had the wired option, and I didn't notice a difference at all. It just seemed exactly the same. Network transfers were as fast, well, basically the same. They were bottlenecked by what the actual Synology NAS will do, which is like 2.5 gigabit per second, because that's the fastest Ethernet connection on there. So yeah, it's a very unusual feeling, or unusual situation. It just feels very, I suppose the latency is less. It feels like it has a lower latency, which I think that might be a thing with Wi-Fi 7. I honestly haven't looked into it because it's not been one of those things on my radar at all, because I'm not really interested, because I don't like using Wi-Fi. Like I said, I'll use it on a laptop if I have to, but I would always prefer to plug in. Like even when I used to do the streams sat here years ago. Oh, saying that, my browser has just crashed. Not enough memory to open this page. Hello? That just died. Right, did anyone else's thing crash? Am I still streaming? Did that crap out on there as well? I've just had a crash. I didn't think that was possible. What happened there? Live chat, let's move that over there so I can see what you guys are saying. Did anyone else experience that, or is it just me? My Chrome died. Nero says my Google Chrome crashed 20 minutes ago too. Oh yeah, David Andrew, mine did. You're all fine. Dave Aitken, all good. AJ stream is fine. Very strange. Chrome is behaving very odd these days. iRolfman says I have Wi-Fi 6. I find it as good as wired. Yeah, that's the thing. If you're finding that, that's great. We struggle in this house because it is like an old 1930s house. You've got proper old-fashioned concrete, old-fashioned mortar, bricks, metal, like steel bits. It's just a proper constructed house. So all the walls are like very, very dense. And Wi-Fi signals don't like dense walls. Like in America, where you've got your timber construction and you've got like foam insulation or lamb's wool insulation in between the walls, Wi-Fi can pass through that easy. But anything which is like a brick, it literally, Wi-Fi signal sees a brick and it's like, this is hard. It's hard to penetrate a brick because it's a dense thing. And because of what the bricks are made of. So yeah, it's really... Alessa says, I've been having trouble with live streams running out of RAM. Very strange. Don't know what's going on there. I know there's a lot of problems with Chrome at the moment, with vulnerabilities and exploits and all that sort of stuff, but should really be protected by that. But anyway. I think, actually, who else was that? It was Graham on Adamant IT. He was having problems with his stream. I think it was last week, where he couldn't end the stream because the stream had crashed on Chrome. The Chrome tabs had crashed and he couldn't get back in to actually unfreeze it. You had to reload it. Viali says Chrome has always been bad. Yeah. It seems to get better. It seems to get better, then it gets worse. Like they had some cool new feature and then all hell breaks loose. It seems to be like a common thing for Google. I'm surprised Google hasn't kicked Chrome to the curb yet, to be honest. Because Google are well known for like getting excited about something and then just ditching it. Like, look at what they've done to Fitbit. Fitbit, which was like one of the golden children of the financial market, because it was just like this wearable market which just boomed really, really quickly and really kind of took the public's mindset and all that stuff and done really well. Like, there was a time where like everybody had a Fitbit or a Fitbit clone of some sort. Now, dead and buried. Whether that's because people saw the writing was on the wall, that as soon as it got bought out by Google, it's like, right, well, they're going to can that then. But apparently Google will do their own wearables, which are not very good, apparently.
You only want all your data anyway, don't you?
Yeah.
So you could pay extra to actually get your own data that you put into it.
Yeah.
Premium or something, wasn't it? Fitbit Premium.
That's right, yes, it was, yeah. Right, so I think we are pretty much as far as I can go at the moment until I get my case. We'll work out what's going on there. Now, also, Colin Hilton, bless his heart, he's actually sent in, I said last week, a monitor for us to review and give away, which I haven't yet. I haven't been taking it out of the box. It's been one of those weeks, like I said. There's been lots going on, so that is on the back burner. So Colin sent that. That is the MSI Pro MP161E2, which we will be giving away to a lucky viewer. And also, it says Mick Woods is suffering from what I'm suffering from. He's fallen asleep. Thanks, Mike. I'm falling asleep. Off to bed. We'll catch up tomorrow. No worries, Mick. Sleep well, mate. I'll be in work tomorrow, sadly. But have a lie in for me. Mike, you need to try the Montec XR. Okay. What's that? Oh, Montec XR case, is that? Why did I think of that before, the Montec XR? There's a reason why that I didn't go for that. I can't think what it was. I'll have to have a look. I hate it when Amazon puts sticky labels on stuff. Susan Robbins is back from the shop, so we can all enjoy our cornettos, our crunches, our Kit Kats. I actually wouldn't mind some Rubicon mango. Can we have some Rubicon mango? I haven't had a soft drink in ages. Brave is made by the guys who made Firefox, but it's an open source version of Chrome. Okay. Is the Montec XR the one with the fixed RGB fans? I'm not too sure. There was some reason why I didn't like it, and I can't remember what it was. Thank you.
Cat food a minute.
Oh dear. So yeah, not even been unsealed yet. So Colin, if you're watching, thank you very much. I will be getting round to that as soon as I can. With the car, the toilet, and all the other stuff going on, it's just been a bit of a nose this week. Everything's been up in the air. Dave Ender says that was quick. My nearest shop is an hour away. Wow. Susan says, sorry, all I have is White Claw Black Cherry. Never heard of that. Sounds interesting though. David Aitken. Is he winding me up? Mike, Mike would like to see you have a look at some of Antec's new cases. They seem to be having a revival. I desperately want to see some of Antec's new cases. I've reached out to them numerous times. Antec, please can you send me a review sample so I can check it out. I don't want paying. Just please send me a case so I can review it, because there's people that want to see it and I want to see it. Because I liked Antec. Antec were like the kiddies with the Antec, the 200. That was like an amazing case. I had 5 of them, at least. But, yeah, sad. I don't know what it is. They just, I don't know. Maybe they don't like us, don't like the channel. Whatever it is, I don't know. But they don't seem to want to send us anything. Which is a shame. But I guess it is what it is. I will at some point, when one comes up on offer, I will try and get hold of one. We'll see. Oh, something else I bought this week actually, which is very cool. This is actually brilliant. So this is from a company called Lipro. You've probably seen these around. If you're on Facebook, they seem to be doing the rounds. I don't know whether it's just me being targeted for this, but these are basically head torches. But rather than having like a solid head torch in the middle, which can be a little bit on the weighty side sometimes, it's got this kind of cob band. And also there's a spotlight on the side. So if you do want a spotlight type view, you can use a spotlight. But the coolest feature is on the side, there is a kind of a sensor. So beware, there will be lights on the screen, which may be a little bit bright. It does make you look a bit of a knob, to be fair, but that's kind of my life. So there's a on-off button. Beware, this is going to get bright. So if you're whatever, don't look. So you can turn it on, and there we go. So that's on the brightest level. So this is actually brilliant because you can look wherever you're doing stuff. I should have put this on earlier actually while I was doing that. It's very bright, 350 lumens, which is brighter than most monitors. So actually pretty darn bright. Now if you press the button again, it turns off. If you press it quickly, it cycles through. So you've got bright, slightly dimmer. So that is now 110 lumens, but still actually pretty good for doing stuff. Press it again, obviously it turns off. Press it again, and it cycles through, and then you've got your spotlight mode. So there's a little spotlight, which you've got adjustment 30 degrees up and down. So you can either have it straight ahead, which if you're doing stuff like eye level, brilliant. If you're doing stuff a little bit lower, then like that's fantastic. So you can do that, and also you've got 2 brightness levels on that as well. So once you set your brightness level, or you set the mode you want, actually you do it on the band on the front. So that should be in the kind of dimmer mode. Yes, it is. So there's a button on the back. You press the back button. So now you should see there's a red flashing light on the side. So if I go like that, it turns on. So if you're like grubby hands or wet hands, maybe you're doing some plumbing work or electrical work, whatever, and you don't want to touch stuff, you can just put your hand by the side and it turns on and off. So you can just keep on wearing it, do your stuff, and then like, oh, I can't see this bit. How cool is that? I love that. I'm quite easily pleased, but that works well for me. I like that. So you just don't even have to press any buttons. Rather than like holding onto a torch and then adjusting it, and then you need another hand for the screwdriver, and then there's something in the way, so you need another hand. But this is great. It's like completely hands-free. And when you're done, just wipe your hand past the side, which is fantastic. And you can have gloves on, or even if it's something nearby, you can go. I did it earlier and it worked. No, it doesn't like do it with metal. It did it with the door frame, because I walked out of the room and the door frame went past and it turned it on. So anyway, I think it's pretty good, and it's a really good idea, and it's cheap. Now, what turned me on to this first of all, excuse the pun, was originally I saw on Facebook there was an advert, and I think it's some company called it begins with OP something, Open or Open or something like that, and they're selling these for 35 quid each. But they do this kind of weird deal. So if you buy 2, they cost like 25 quid each. Or if you buy 3, they cost 20 quid each, and so on and so on. You get to a certain amount where they cost about 12 quid each, which ironically, Lipro sell these for on Amazon anyway, for like $13.99, but there's always like a deal on. So at the moment they're £13.99. Then there's a £2 voucher, and also there's a 5% discount code that you can top on as well. So you can probably get this for about, I don't know, 10 quid or so. It's USB-C charging, it's IP44 weather, dust and damage and drop proof. So it's all kind of silicon based. Ooh, forgot I had it still on there. So yeah, it does all that stuff, and also it's quite nice because you can kind of pack it away into a pocket or something, so it's not very bulky. Light's still flashing on there, so I need to press that again, turn that mode off, and that is completely off. Yeah, so pretty cool. I like it. It's quite comfortable. The LEDs do a pretty good job, and I was messing around with this a little bit earlier. I think it's pretty good. You get 4 hours in total to charge it. It's got a, I think it's a 1200 milliamp hour battery in this one. Turn it off. Yeah, 1200 milliamp hour battery. Full charge will give you 4 hours on the highest brightness and up to 10 hours on the dimmest setting. So yeah, I think that's pretty good. 10 hours on the dimmest setting. Like, you're not going to be doing something for 10 hours for that. Like, maybe if you're doing like cave rescue or something, maybe, but realistically, most people building a PC, what are you going to do? Like an hour, 2 hours. So for that, it's going to be great. If you're out and about, walking down dark lanes at night, maybe walking your dog, going to the shops or whatever, and you just want a little bit of extra light. You don't want to carry a torch. Could be quite useful. Maybe cycling, whatever it is. Pretty flexible and easy to do. If you're a mechanic, I think it's a no-brainer, because dirty, grubby hands and torches, or finding your torch, whereas you can just wear that all the time. It's not going to get in the way, and it's not very heavy either. Anyway, there you go. AJ says buy 1,000 of them, they actually pay you. That'd work out good. Arnold Albert says awesome. I have one with 2 LED bands. Excellent. Mark Berry says just remember not to go to the shop with it on. I might do that. Rasher says fitted a cat flap in a 340mm block wall today. Cat is happy, and so are we, because we don't have to keep letting her in and out. Excellent. Alessa says, too bad most people don't have a brightness adjustment. Mike's unboxing Star Trek. It is, isn't it? It's like Geordie LaForge. You stick it on the old eyeballs. There you go. I have been Jordified. That's a meme-worthy thing anyway, isn't it? Hopefully I don't get into trouble there for impersonating someone. Alessa says, I have a couple of headlamps I use when working on computers or taking out the trash at night. Nice. Where did you get it? It was on Amazon. I don't have the link. Actually, I can get the link, can't I? I will find the link. Bear with me. Where are we? Your orders. There we go. That one there. Copy. Where is... That's on that side, isn't it? Where's Discord? There we go. Drag that over here. Where is it? I'll put it in the bargains no chat on our Discord, so you can check it out in there. There you go. Just pinged myself. Actually, how do I ping myself if I'm posting a link? No, whatever. Copy. And for those of you that don't have Discord, I will put it in there. Paste. There we go. I put an affiliate link on it as well, because hey, I might as well get a few quid. No, I won't actually. Zero Defect says this show is bad for my finances. Come on, it's like 12 quid. This isn't going to break the bank. Although, I think it's quite a handy thing for Christmas gifts. Because you think, realistically, if there's someone you don't really like, you could get them one of these and they'll be fine. It says there, upward. What does that do? Upward. Well, maybe you can take that off of there. It just says upward on the back, but it doesn't say why. Press it in, or... Don't know. Mysterious button, or mysterious thing on the back saying upward. If anybody buys one... Oh, gosh. I'll put it into passive mode, don't I? Turn it off. There we go. If anyone gets one, and works out why it says upward on there... Oh, I know, that's because that's the way you're supposed to wear it upward, isn't it? Of course. I'm such a volley. Because on the bottom there's the USB-C and it's got like a rubber gasket. So you probably could wear it that way up anyway. It's not going to make much difference, is it? But I suppose it's just, yeah. For people like me, upward. That's the way it should be. So you know what it's like. It's got an adjustable band as well. So as you'd expect, you can adjust the thing. So if you've got a big head, small head, whatever. I'd imagine they even fit... Random Gaming in HD. He's got a big head. Self-professed mind. So I'm not speaking out of class here. There you go. Hayden Trent says ordered one. Awesome. Nice one. O'Reilly says I think I need to charge it. I opted to get a head torch from Machine Mart. To be honest with you, I got one which came from... who sent the other one? I'm trying to think. Someone else sent me one. Which I have got and I still use. Oh, it was Rick, I think. I think it was Rick who sent this one, the head torch. This one is, I would say, arguably brighter. But I think this one is more inclined for like cyclists. Oh. But yeah, it's flashing already because the battery goes flat for some reason. But yeah, it's got the red on there and the red flashing. So I think it is for cyclists. But the battery doesn't seem to last a great deal of time. It seems that even if I charge it, it still kind of just starts going flat by itself without being used. So you've almost got to keep it constantly charged, which is a bit of a shame. Because I don't use it that often. Although I probably should use it more often than I do. And it is always at hand. It's literally, when I'm sat at my desk, it's literally like an arm's reach. So I can just grab it whenever I need it to. There you go. Dave Aiken says, you'll need to wear one of those walking to work soon. I know. Tell me about it. Well, that's the thing. I'm actually going to take it to work because quite often when I'm fitting like... actually, some of you saw from Friday's video when I'm fitting bulbs and stuff out on cars. Most cars, when you get into the fit a light bulb, there's so much crap in an engine bay that it's really hard to get into the light fittings. And... then you can't really see what's going on there, and it's just, yeah, it's a real pain. And again, same issue. If you've got the torch maybe on your phone, you're holding your phone in one hand, you're trying to kind of grab something with another hand, and then you wish you had another hand to kind of remove a bit of a spring clip which is in the way. It's just a pain in the ass. So just having it on your head so you can stick your head in where you're doing it, so the light's shining where you're actually looking, you've got both hands free. It's just a good thing all round. Aim it at cyclists. I don't think you're allowed to do that. I think that's against the law. Mark Barry says, I've had one of those for about a year now. Much better than the previous head torches that had to take 3 AAA batteries. Yeah, I do like USB-C. I think USB-C needs to be more and more widespread. Like, we had a situation upstairs where Kath wanted to charge her phone, but she's also got a charger, like a wireless charger dock thing, and that uses USB-C. Her phone uses Lightning port. The charger for one is USB-C. The charger for another is USB Type A. We've got cables for both, which are Type A. but only a charger for Type C, because most modern chargers are Type C. It's just like, oh, I wish everything was just on USB Type C. It would be much better.
Well, so you have to change all the plug sockets in the house again.
Yeah.
It'd be easy just to stay as it was.
Just relaunch. LD says, try light bulb on a Transit Custom. They're a pain and you're guaranteed to get at least one cut on your hands. I've done the custom. I don't think I've done a headlight on a Transit Custom. I probably have done. I'm not sure. I've done loads of tail lights. Transit Custom tail lights is like the backlight unit is about like this big. And I think there's like about 5 screws to take out. So I think there's like one top, bottom, middle, and then you've got 2 on the inside as well. And then you take this whole unit out. It's like bulb, 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 bulb all the way down through. Massive thing. Expensive to replace as well. Big Marvinsky says the EU directive will make everything USB-C over time. Yeah, there's actually another part of the directive which I didn't know that is affecting Panasonic, people who make Lumix cameras. So for those people that are like following cameras, the Lumix S5 is the full frame camera, which a lot of YouTubers tend to use. It's either S5 or one of the Sonys. The S5 has now been upgraded to the S5D this week. But basically all they've done is they've taken out the physical battery charger, like a mains battery charger, and added LiDAR for DJI. Because DJI and Lumix, or Panasonic, are working together on various technologies. But yeah, it seems that there's a lot of cameras in the Panasonic range which have the D logo, or like the D suffix at the end of the part number. So there's the FZ20 or FZ80 D. But the D model is just basically a European model which doesn't have a charger in the box. Very weird. But apparently it's part of some EU regulations that you're not allowed to sell products with physical battery chargers. You have to sell the charger separate to the unit. Very bizarre. It's actually something which you've noticed, because obviously Apple started doing it, I think probably first, where they were selling their devices without a brick, a charging brick. And everyone's like, ugh. But then it's like, well, we've all got charging bricks at home, but how long is it going to be until everything that gets sold comes without a charging brick? And then you're looking around thinking, whoa, wish I had another charging brick, like we had this week. So, yeah, it's very weird. David Underhill says it's to stop having extra chargers. I know, but it's always nice that it's the assumption. It's like when you get a motherboard and it doesn't come with a USB driver disc. They just assume that you've got a DVD drive when really no one has. It's a similar sort of thing. Like some things it's nice, like an owner's manual. When you buy a motherboard, it'd be really nice to have a printed owner's manual. But no, you have to go to the website and download the PDF, which saves on printing a manual. I guess that. But if you're building a computer for the first time and you don't have a computer or something to read a PDF on, you're kind of screwed. So for the hassle of not having a charger in with a device, I think it's a bit... I understand it, but
somebody else
yeah.
drive to your house with it.
It's kind of doubling up on the problem, isn't it? Because if you get something delivered like a camera, it comes and you don't have a charger, so then you've got to order another charger, so then that's another truck delivering another thing for God knows how many miles, and it's cost you more. This seems a bit daft, really. Nick Barnes says Joe's Samsung came with a 10-watt charging brick, yet it's capable of 22 watts charging, so bought said brick from Samsung. LD says D equals decharged batteries, buy a replacement. And Mark Berry says no more MOT certificates after March, it's all online. Yeah. I think that's sort of understandable. The only thing is, I think there's a lot of people, especially like with classic cars or cars which are now like modern classics, which will be classics in future years. when you go to sell a car and you've got like all these old MOT certificates stamped up, and you can see the history of the car and see where it's been and all that kind of stuff. I think it's a little bit sad. And also, if the computers ever get hacked or whatever, it's like, what's the chances that at some point someone's going to come along and offer you a lifetime MOT for your car for X amount of money because they know how to hack the system and it's all digital? I don't know. I understand it. It is quite nice to be able to, if you're like thinking of buying a car, you look at it online, type in the registration, you can see all the previous MOT history. So that's kind of nice. But yeah, for a sheet, most MOTs come on a sheet of single A4 paper. So it's not like it's the end of the world, is it?
Virgin Media, we have to pay £2 a month to have a printed bill.
Yeah.
But yet they send through the post a load of junk to get you to buy other stuff from them. That's okay. That's different paper.
Alexa says you should always build a PC to use to help build another PC. Yep, that's what I think. Dave Aiken says, I don't even have a service book with my car. Hate it. Yeah. David Underhill says, the Lumix G85/G80 on promo again in Australia. $300 off. I've still got my G80 up in the loft. Well, actually in my wardrobe, to be honest. Not my loft. I love the G80. That was a great camera. I do miss it. It's so light and small and arguably easier to use. Just showing the autofocus wasn't brilliant. Photos, it was great. Videos, used to hunt quite a bit. David Under says the G85 is my mainstream camera. It was my mainstream camera for a long, long time, like 2 years at least, maybe 3. And when it wasn't the mainstream camera, it was the overhead camera. Which actually, I don't know why it still isn't. Because it's better than that thing. But
because it's too far away, wasn't it? You couldn't zoom in enough.
Oh, yeah. Raj D has been very generous and gifted 5 Mics Unboxing Reviews and How-To memberships. 1 to the Big Marvinsky. Dave Aiken's got 1. Ivory Wolfman. Tough Enough's got 1. And Charles Ballard. Tony didn't get 1 again. Poor old Tony. Thank you, Raj D. That's very kind of you. Much appreciated. So that is coming up on, where are we? Yeah, 3 hours. Although we did start a little bit late, so we'll give it a few minutes. So we'll give you a few more minutes. If you've got any last minute comments or things you want to discuss in the news, let me know. LD says, I was having issues with the B550-A Pro. Should have went for the one you've got. Well, it's funny because at the beginning of the stream I was saying that the B550-A Pro was one I would probably get now because it's 20 quid cheaper. Because this has gone up a little bit to 105. I got this for a bargain for, I think it was like 60 quid or something. So I was really pleased with that. Dave says my 2 auxiliary cameras are just RPI cameras. Cool.
When I say thank you, Tony, I didn't mean thank you, Tony. Why did it come up as that?
I don't know. You're just being hurtful.
It was Raj, wasn't it?
Yeah. Thank you, Raj. Much appreciated. Dave says big thanks to the Big D. Thanks, Raj D. Yeah. I know. Thank you, Raj D. Yeah, what I meant to say, Tony wanted a membership, but he didn't get one.
Brain went mad.
Kieran says, welcome back, David, back from the RMA. Don't know what that says. D8K, Mike, you used a Fianxiang drive before. I think my Samsung is crapping out, so I need a replacement. Yeah, I've got one here. Year. I got one year, Tony. Sorry, I was pretending I was Brightech. There you go. There's a Fianxiang or Fanxiana. Because I'm sure it's Fanxiana, isn't it? Because the X in Chinese is the S, or pronounced S, like Xiaomi. So Fanciana. I don't know. Why can't they just call themselves Fickwat? That'd be easier. So yeah, I've had numerous of these 2 terabyte ones, the 1 terabyte ones. I find them to be alright. Saying that, the Fickwat drives are really good as well. Although Fickwat ones, I think, have gone up a little bit recently. But yeah, I've had... I'm trying to think if I've had any problems. I don't think I've had any failures on any of the Fickwats or any of the Fancianas at all. Fancianas. Funshang. Is that how it's cut? David Underhill, you lovely man. Funshang. Right, I'm going to write that down. Funshang.
Right on box.
That's actually a really good idea.
We'll put a sticker on the
I
box.
get my Mike's unboxing pen and I'm going to write it on there.
Oh, and we are slowly sending them out now.
We are, yeah, the post office is open again. So what's it called?
It's a very tiny little place, and we don't want to force too big a queue, so we're doing
Funshang. Funshang, is that right? So is that pronounced right? Funshang? Yeah, I've written on there in case I ever forget, but it's not too obvious, so you can't see it's on there. Mike's unboxing pen with a torch built in that you can strap to head with the use of a folding ear thing. Lobe. No, lobe's at the bottom, innit? What's that bit at the top? Shell? What do you call that bit of your ear?
Cartilage. That's a cartilage piercing.
You can stick it behind the flappy bit.
If you had it pierced up there, it's cartilage piercing, isn't it?
Hayden Trent's has still got my older blue mud pen. Ah, cool.
They're cool.
David says, as close as English speakers can say. Fair enough. The chewy bit. Ask Mike Tyson. Good one. Earlobe. No, the earlobe's the bottom, isn't it? That's the lobe, because it's lobe shaped. That bit is the, I don't know.
If you get it pierced, it's called the cartilage.
The bit that you pierce through is cartilage, but the actual part of the ear isn't.
I know,
called,
but that's cartilage now, where you have your tragus.
Yeah. Cartilage is just soft bone.
Yeah, but that's still soft bone, but that's called a tragus.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That bit isn't called cartilage. Someone find out what it's bloody called. The whole bit is an earlobe. Is it? No, surely not. That's far too untechnical. Earlobe, I suppose. Actually, yeah, because the whole thing, if you think of it shape-wise, is lobe shaped, isn't it? Because it's like smaller at the bottom and wider at the top. Like a camshaft lobe. But I also thought the earlobe was that bit. But I suppose it's the whole thing. Your ear hole, as they say. You can really tell that we've run out of things to say. Right, so AM5 is a dud at the moment for the 9000 series. Intel looks like it's not going to be performing as well as the previous gen, but it's going to do it for around about half the power. So I think of the two, like Intel is a really strong performer, especially in games, considering they're not using 3D V-cache. As soon as they start using 3D V-cache, I think AMD is going to be history, but that's not quite on the roadmap as of yet. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. I think I am edging more towards Intel, but I am very interested to see if they've learned any of their lesson. Obviously, we've got a new platform now. So LGA 1700 lasted a little bit longer than expected. So it did 12th, 13th, and 14th gen. Arguably, they were all the same processor anyway, just slightly refined, which is often the case. Would it be nice for Intel to have the LGA 1851 socket and for it to see a lifespan similar to AM5, or even, dare we dream, as long as AM4? Because AM4 has been around now, since... I can't even think how far. It's got to be, 8 years? 7, 8 years? Hey Siri. Hey Siri. When did AM4 come out? Oh, for God's sakes.
It did it on my phone.
Did it? Hey Siri. When did AM4 motherboards come out? I think it's like November 20... something. Oh, September, I was close. So September 2016. So yeah, best part of 8 years. Yeah, it is 8 years, actually, isn't it? 4. Yeah, 8 years. So yeah, imagine having an Intel socket which lasted that long. Wouldn't that be incredible? Unlikely, extremely unlikely. And I don't think AM5 is going to last as long as AM4. Because I think the technology is moving quicker, but we'll see. Yeah, September 2016. Oh, and Google has crashed again. Something went wrong while displaying this web page. Error out of memory. You absolute F-wit. Can I F5 that window to refresh it? Yes, I can. Hopefully the Intel lifespan is longer than the time in between crashes of my stream. Oh dear. Such is life. They want you to buy more memory. Why is that bit so far behind? God knows what's going on there. Anyway. Good-o. So yeah, I don't think there's... Oh, actually, yeah, I suppose the new Intel chips have got the new built-in Intel graphics, which is actually interesting to see. And also, like the Ordinary Dude says, the new Intel iGPUs have AV1 codecs and QuickSync. So it gets a nice little upgrade. So yeah, that'd be pretty good. It'd be nice to see Intel leveling up with AMD in terms of the onboard graphics. I think that's what we need. We need it so that onboard graphics is enough to play AAA titles, 60 FPS, 1080p, medium settings. As long as they can do that, and then anybody who wants anything over that then buys a dedicated graphics card, I think that would be a very cool place to be. But we're not quite there. We're looking at 1080p 30 FPS at medium settings, or kind of 60 FPS maximum, with all the FSR enhancements and stuff, and resolution scaling with low settings at 1080p for a lot of games, if you want 60 FPS. But it's getting there. Slowly but surely, we will get there. So, I think that is going to wrap things up. Doesn't seem to be any more burning questions there, so we'll see what happens. Like I said, this PC is going to be an ongoing thing, so I am going to be looking out for motherboards. Sorry, not motherboards, cases. So if you've got any idea for cases and you see anything on your travels, either drop me an email or send a message to me on Discord, or post it in the bargains no chat, and I'll be keeping an eye out for cases. Ideally, I want something around sort of £40 to £60 at the very most. So let me know what your thoughts are, and if it's something which we haven't seen on the channel before, even better. And if anyone's got any contacts at Amtech, please let them know and say that I am very interested in working with them to review some of their cases, and that you would like to see it on the channel, and hopefully that will push them in the right direction. There's a super chat from Dave Aiken, £2. Says cheers for a good Saturday night ramble. No problem, thank you Dave, and glad to see that the young one is feeling a little bit better now, and out forcing you to buy toys. Although, with a smile like that, it's not really forcing, is it? You've got no choice. So, thank you very much. Let's see there. There we go. Ordinary Dude says, since I'm not a gamer, I think the new Intel chips will suffice for me without a dedicated GPU. Nice. Susan Robbins says, I will be looking. Hard choices. See you soon. No worries. Best case, Letter says, is CTE C70 Air. Bit more than I want to pay. Mark says, good night. Thank you very much. And thank you for the super chats. Mike, please test the Montec XR, Mike. It's 50 quid. I will have a look. Calf, can you write it down? Montec XR. We'll have a look at that. Anyway, I think that's going to wrap things up. Thank you for your kindness, your hospitality. Smash the like button if you haven't already. Yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up. I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To. And hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and take care of yourselves. and we'll see you in a new video first thing on Monday morning. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you later. And hopefully this button's going to work and stop the stream, but it might not, so let's see what happens. Cheers everybody, see you next week.